Hey guys, so here back with another video, and I'm here with Aaron, who is screen sharing this from Discord, so that's why you see a live logo. There you go, now start the video. Actually, turn up the volume.
Well, it'll be too loud for me to hear you. I'll just turn it up a little bit. Is that good?
Okay, start playing the video.
Yeah. Alright, I have never watched this, by the way. I have never heard of this, so here we go. Hopefully it has good quality.
I've watched it.
Squilliam Fancy Son.
Can you hear me?
Squilliam Fancy Son. Squilliam Fancy Son III is Squidward's rival from high school band class. So, I just took my private
Aaron?
across my private lake to my private heliport.
Aaron!
He's more wealthy, popular, and talented than Squidward,
All right.
and he always rubs it in his face. That's right. I'm living your dream.
If you can't hear me, you can turn it down a bit.
Succeeding in everything you failed in.
If you can't hear me, you can turn it down a bit.
Using his wealth to make himself
Okay,
seem more
that's
popular
good.
and talented
That's
than
good.
he actually is. He goes to ridiculous and extreme to
What the
humiliate
fuck?
Squidward and show his superiority, and I'm gonna prove it. SpongeBob is one of my favorite shows from my childhood. Even going back now and rewatching the old ones, it still holds up. You might think,
True.
it's just a kid's show, there's no continuity, there's nothing worth theorizing about, but the show constantly brings back characters and references to previous episodes, and if you look closely, you can connect the dots and find some very interesting stories. And today, I'm going to prove that Squilliam Fancy Son III is a manipulative fraud. Evidence number 1,
What?
the pet hospital.
Have you watched SpongeBob before?
Season 2, episode 15, Band Geeks. The episode opens with Squidward playing the clarinet and getting a knock on the door.
Damn ad.
Yeah, we're with the pet hospital down the street, and I understand you have a dying animal on the premises.
Immediately after, Squidward gets a call from Squilliam.
Hello, you've reached the house of unrecognized talent. Please start after the...
Sounds as though you've got a dying animal to attend to, old chum. I believe that not only was Squilliam spying on Squidward to know when he was playing his clarinet, but he also hired the doctor to come and embarrass Squidward.
Yeah,
That's a
with
dick
the pet
move.
hospital down the street. Pet hospital down the street.
We have never seen a pet hospital in Bikini Bottom. We've only ever seen just the regular Bikini Bottom hospital. We've seen this purple dogfish before, but
yeah.
once again, he's never worked at a pet hospital. We've only ever seen him at the regular general hospital.
Well, Mr. Squidheads, it seems you have the suds. Are you ready for your treatment?
Then there's this greenfish behind him, and we've only ever seen him as one of the many identical paramedics that work at the Bikini Bottom hospital. We even see him at the end of the episode to take Squilliam away after...
I'm just trying to get my charger here.
It's very likely that Squilliam hired these two and told them to pretend like they're from a pet hospital just to humiliate Squidward.
You know it'd be terrible?
This is the start of Squilliam's elaborate lies.
What?
You know it'd be terrible?
What would be terrible?
If my microphone wasn't on.
Oh. It would be
In the same
terrible.
episode, Squilliam also says, I'm the leader of a big fancy band now, and we're supposed to play the Bubble Bowl next week. The problem is, I'm busy next week.
Is it
and
lagging
can't
for
make
you
it,
or not?
so
Oh, no,
I
I'm
was
just trying to grab my
hoping
stuff.
you and your band could cover for
It's
us.
not?
But we've
Okay.
never seen Squilliam's band before.
I thought it would have been laggy because of how bad my Chromebook is.
Yeah, Chromebook's pretty crappy.
Yeah, that's something I can admit without a struggle.
Number 3, Squilliam's friends. In season 3, episode 8, Squilliam returns. Squidward leaves for work and conveniently bumps into Squilliam and all of his fancy friends, despite Squilliam not seeming like the kind of guy that would come near the Krusty Krab. He and his friends make fun of Squidward for working as a cashier. Hold it! Don't tell me! You're a cashier! Was planned out by
Oh, it just paused.
Makes it worse.
Oh, never mind, didn't pause.
To be his friends. Take a look at Squilliam's friends. They're all nicely dressed. You kind of get the sense that they're fancy, high-status members of Bikini Bottom. But
I don't remember seeing
this is more
that.
like what the fancy rich people in Bikini Bottom look like. These are just some regular Bikini Bottom citizens. Most of them usually don't even wear nice clothes like this. And most of them are regulars at the Krusty Krab and would already
Actually, I
know
remember
Squidward's
seeing
cashier.
that. Is it when Squidward turned into a baby?
These are not the type of people Squilliam would hang out with. I mean, why would Squilliam be hanging out with one of Pearl's teenage friends? At the end of the episode, Squilliam even admits to his whole life being fake. I made everything up about my life. I have no yachts, jets, or anything. I was only trying to... you And then, of course, he quickly says he's just kidding.
Is that true? Of course not. I'm filthy stinking rich.
But was he kidding? I mean, obviously he's rich, but is there a nugget of truth in there? Evidence number 4, the statue. In Season 7, Episode 6, Squidward has to pick up trash for community service, and Squilliam once again conveniently bumps into him and reveals he's cleaned up so much trash that the city actually built a statue of him.
Maybe if you clean up Bikini Bottom, they'll build a statue of you. Oh, wait.
Wait, can you rewind a bit?
One of me.
Rewind it.
Oh wait, never mind. No, that's Squidward. Because there's no unibrow.
Yeah, there isn't.
But in a way, it's also Squilliam because there's no Squidward shirt.
Yeah.
It's like if they had a child.
What?
All the Bikini Bottom.
Or if they fused, I
I
guess.
believe that once again, this encounter was staged by Squilliam, and he actually paid to get that statue built. As Squilliam tells Squidward about the statue, a female fish admires it and says,
Bless you, Squilliam Fancy Son. Bless you.
but if you remember, this is one of those friends Squilliam likely paid, making her whole comment feel very fake. By the end of the episode, Squilliam's statue gets destroyed.
Ah!
A police
I remember that.
and they have this exchange.
Whoa.
This is your statue? It was.
Squilliam admits that it's his statue, not the city's. And why else would the officer give him specifically a ticket if it was city property? Evidence number 5, the concert. In Season 6, Episode 17, Squidward watches Squilliam play the clarinet at a big fancy concert. He receives a standing ovation, causing Squidward to leave angrily. But I believe this entire concert is a scam. Not only has the audience been paid to cheer, but Squilliam never even touches his instrument. Once again, many of the audience members were part of Squilliam's quote-unquote friends, but we also never actually see Squilliam play the clarinet. The episode opens right after he's finished his performance with the audience cheering, and one member of the audience says,
He's such a great musician. He doesn't even have to touch an instrument to be brilliant.
maybe the real reason Squidward leaves so angrily is because the audience cheered for Squidward.
I just got a call and it popped up on my screen, so that ruined a bit of the video. God damn it.
Squidward at the clarinet, and he's trying to hide it. Squilliam has gone to some pretty extreme lengths just to humiliate Squidward, but nothing, and I mean nothing, compares to what he does next.
No! We don't care! There we go.
The music college.
I actually do have
In the
a
same
voice
episode,
changer.
after Squidward leaves
True,
the
I do too.
he's approached by
I
the
shouldn't-
headmistress of
It
the
just never
Bikini
worked when I
Bottom
used it.
Music College.
Aren't you the esteemed Squilliam Fancyson III, who we all came here to see perform tonight?
She mistakes him for Squilliam and offers him a position as a professor. Squidward pretends to be Squilliam and teaches a class, only for the police to burst in and arrest him, all while he's being filmed on live TV. And I believe that this is Squilliam's most elaborate and most expensive scheme to destroy Squidward both publicly and legally. This encounter where Squidward gets offered a job is already suspiciously convenient, but listen closely to their exchange.
I'm William Fancy Son.
But didn't you just say a minute ago that your name was Squidward Q Tentacles?
It is. No, I mean, no, I didn't.
Well, that's a relief. I mean, what kind of a moron would go to their worst enemy's music recital?
What kind of moron would go to their own enemy's music recital? How does she know that Squidward and Squilliam are enemies? If she knew who Squidward was, then why didn't she recognize him? Why would she mistake him for Squilliam? This feels way too much like she was hired by Squilliam to set a trap for Squidward.
I just realized, now this is bugging me.
Associate is literally just a guy from the paid audience wearing a disguise. He just threw on some glasses to seem smart. Squilliam knew that Squidward couldn't resist the
Oh my
opportunity to teach him
God.
in class, even if it meant breaking the law.
My very own music class.
Then we get to the Bikini Bottom prestigious music college, and right off the bat, there's something very fishy about this place. The building itself is very green and grimy, and has a very cheap metal look. Nothing about this says prestigious, except for the big sign on top, which feels like the only new thing about this building. I think there is a very good chance that Squilliam just bought some old warehouse.
My favorite theory is the latest one he made.
As a college. I mean, look at these other schools in Bikini Bottom. They
Can
all
I
have
watch
very
a-
nice
can we watch a
structure and
video
paint
that
job,
I
but this
wanna pick?
prestigious music
What?
college looks like a dumpster.
Can I
Looking into
watch?
the classroom,
Can we
not
watch a
only does it
video
have
that I
another
want
one
to
of
pick?
Squilliam's friends,
After the
prestigious
all the
college,
theories, is that
Spongbob
fair?
and Patrick get in here.
Would you two numbskulls mind telling me
We are
what
not
you're doing
watching
in
all the
music
theories,
class
are
anyway?
we? In one
Sure.
video.
Patrick's New Year's resolution was to learn to play an instrument.
They say it was a resolution to
It's only gonna be like an hour 30 minutes
for
long.
them to get into an esteemed music school if they just decided to go to it on a whim. Seems like they're just letting it.
And the last 30 minutes can be your choice, or 2 hours exact.
William and the head
Not exact, but you know.
live news broadcast show up at the same time to arrest.
So we're not gonna
Squidward
watch
for
all of it
impersonating
today.
William. If the extremely
I mean, don't you want to watch all of the theories today?
At the same time, isn't enough for you to believe that
No,
Squilliam
maybe
set it all
just
up?
one.
I've got
or two.
something that's
How
gonna
about
blow
3?
your mind.
3?
Squilliam
Okay.
literally has the police working for him.
Squidward chewed tentacles, I'm placing you under arrest for impersonating a genius.
If that doesn't sound like he's been paid off, I don't know what does. The lengths that Squilliam goes to humiliate Squidward are insane. He literally builds statues
Sorry,
and
got
entire
interrupted.
buildings just to make Squidward feel inferior. But why? Why would anyone go so far to embarrass an old high school band classmate? What happened between them? What could have caused this extreme level of dedication? Well, unfortunately, we never really get much information on their past. I've spent hours reading through the Spongebob Wikipedia and looking at old episodes, and there really just isn't any clues that would explain their weird relationship. I guess we can't solve everything, but either way, that's my theory. Thank you so much for listening. I
Stop.
really hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next
Stop.
Wait a second.
Just watch.
Season 6, Episode 5, Slide Whistle Stooges. Just a normal episode where SpongeBob and Patrick annoy Squidward. Nothing really out of the ordinary. Except I have one question about this episode. Why does Squidward have Squilliam's robe? That is clearly not the purple robe he usually wears. That is Squilliam Fancyson III's robe. Why would Squidward have this? Unless they were more than just classmates. Could they have once been dating?
What?
That's not possible. There's no evidence. Right?
Don't be intimidated, Squidward. Try to imagine him in his underwear. Oh no, he's hot!
No. It can't be.
I mean, what kind of a moron would go to their worst enemy's music recital?
It's been right in front of us this whole time.
Our sources last saw Evil harassing teenagers up at Makeout Reef.
Make out Reef. Good time, good time.
Voted most likely to suck eggs in a pie.
Holy shit!
Wait, don't go to the. Okay.
Stream 85 plus
Oh.
channel.
Oh my god. Now what?
Now we go to the next part of. We go to part 2 or.
Well, yeah, it's already on it. We had to watch this shitty ad first.
And save up to $500 a year. With
Oh
YouTube
my
TV.
god.
Try it free.
Wish we could cut this out, you know?
If the editor knows how, then they will.
SquarePants is not
Okay.
what you think it is. There is a secret group of puppet masters who are always watching the
Doc
citizens of
Ock.
Bikini Bottom and pulling the strings. Hidden within
Okay,
Bikini
it's not
Bottom are
Doc
spies
Ock.
that
He
keep
had
an eye on the
no
characters and make sure
arms.
everything goes to plan. This is a conspiracy that will fundamentally change the
Monkey.
way you show SpongeBob SquarePants, and I believe it's
Actually, it was
actually
Gorilla.
by the creators, and I'm gonna prove it. This is the television theory.
This theory makes sense, by the way.
You guys had a great reaction to my Squilliam Fancyson theory, and I had a lot of fun making it.
You lying, deceiving bastard! I didn't even realize that!
But trust me when I say that what I've discovered this time is much, much bigger. To start this theory, we have to go back to the very beginning of the very first episode of SpongeBob SquarePants.
This so fascinating. SpongeBob SquarePants. Yes, of course he lives in a pineapple, you silly.
So let me ask you a question. Who's speaking in this clip? Well,
Isn't his name Hans?
the narrator. We hear his voice many times throughout the show.
I call him the narrator.
I remember he has a nickname.
The Krusty Krab.
The Krusty Krab.
Past all the many kinds of undersea life. Pop's boating school. Where diligent students learn the rules of the road.
But who exactly is the narrator? Well, he's just the narrator, right? We're not supposed to think about who he is or why we're hearing him.
Oh wait, no. I remember who he is.
Duh.
Caillou was amazed that Mommy had made a vein.
No, why is he here?
In the
Why?
But there's
What the hell is going on here?
he sounds a lot like he's narrating a nature documentary.
The ocean. From above, a simple blanket of water. But below, complex world full of color, life, and wonder.
Ah, the sea. So fascinating. So wonderful. Here we see Bikini Bottom, teeming with life.
What if I told you that he's not just some random disembodied voice? He's an actual character in this universe.
He is.
Here we are again at the Bikini Bottom boating school. Today is once again the day of Spongebob boating school exam. But more importantly, this is the last test for the year. And if Spongebob does not pass this one, it means another whole year of boating school!
SpongeBob literally
He's a
crashes
scuba
into
diver.
the fourth wall, and we actually get to see the narrator and the camera he's been filming with. The show, SpongeBob SquarePants, is not just a cartoon. Everything we see is a part of a nature documentary television show being filmed by scuba divers. And if you're still not convinced, I searched really, really hard and found an old SpongeBob DVD bonus feature that basically confirms everything.
Since before time even existed, land-loving scientists have tried to learn the secrets of intelligence. Their studies led them to the sea, where the
In the second part, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to do longer because two of them are like 30 minutes long.
to record their actions for use in teaching mankind how to live better.
So we could do like four, like five, so like five of them, and then we can do the sixth one for just a separate episode or something. I don't know.
The scientists chose 6 Bikini Bottom residents at random
Okay.
to study. As the scientists marveled at the advanced knowledge and superior intellect of these 6 creatures,
I went to college!
they rolled their cameras and took photos. And now,
I went to college.
the things that these smarty pantsuses have to teach us.
I went to college.
Bikini Bottom.
I don't know how it can get any more clear than that. Now,
But
if you have
Plankton dead.
information in mind, some things start to take on a whole new meaning. Throughout the series, there's this weird, unexplained running gag of a human hand interfering with the characters. At the beginning of every
I
episode
know.
in the intro for the show. Maybe the filmmakers are doing a bit more.
Whoa! Why are you touching their hand?
The hand seems to mostly interfere just to maintain the health and safety of the characters, like treating SpongeBob for the suds.
Well, Mr. SquarePants, it seems you have the suds. Are you ready for your treatment? Oh, Hans!
Mr. Hand.
His name's Hans.
It makes sense that the filmmakers wouldn't want to
Yeah,
risk
that's
the safety
disturbing.
of their character.
I
After
thought he
all,
would
there's
not
no
like
show without
that.
SpongeBob, but that's not the only reason why they interfere. Season 3, Episode 16, I Had an Accident, is infamous for having one of the most absurd, confusing endings in the entire show. It ends with a real gorilla suddenly coming out of a Patrick costume and attacking the characters.
I remember that.
Then as soon as
Ouch.
SpongeBob begins to question the logic of the scene, this happens.
What's a gorilla doing underwater in the first place?
How is he talking with just half of his mouth?
Oh, it's funny you should... I mean, see, George, they're onto us!
Let's get out of here.
SpongeBob is a weird show, but this has always stuck out as being just a little too weird. But knowing what we know now, I think I can explain what's going on here. This isn't a real gorilla.
This is
Every
a
other
person
land animal we've
inside.
seen underwater wears a helmet and is drawn in a cartoony style. The gorilla is shown in a live-action style, and the only time we ever see live-action characters is when they're human. So, I believe both the gorilla and the horse he rides away on are humans wearing costumes. The filmmakers set this whole thing up just to make the episode more entertaining. It's starting to seem like this isn't strictly a nature documentary anymore. It's
Well-
more of a reality TV show made for entertainment. Who knows what other absurd elements of the show are actually put there by the filmmakers to make the show more entertaining and profitable. Although, based on the people's reaction, it doesn't always seem to pay off. But how far will the filmmakers go to make the show more profitable?
Saturday morning in Bikini Bottom. SpongeBob is watching his favorite Saturday morning show, The
Don't care.
Adventures of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. Enjoy it.
You mean the Mermaid Man?
That's what Mermaid Man looks like. You
And
fucked it up
Mermaid Man
earlier.
and Barnacle Boy
They don't know that. I forgot a mermaid man was like a mermaid as a man.
Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy Blast Cereal. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy Blackfish Biters.
Why don't you let me fix you some of this new Cocoa drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mount Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners. What the hell are you talking about? Who you talking to?
Maybe the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy TV show is actually from the surface world. They are human after all. It makes sense that the filmmakers would choose to highlight these popular superhero characters. The more they show, the more they're going to sell Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy merchandise. Hang on a second, why are Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy the same size as all the fish in Bikini Bottom, even though humans are always shown as massive compared to fish? Whatever, I'll come back to that one later. The show doesn't in the episode
I
Model
actually
Sponge,
do
they
think
literally
about that.
trick SpongeBob into making a commercial for a
Don't think about it. Actually think about it and see if you're right.
What's happening? What's happening? Okay. So where's my cleaning utensil?
Don't you get it? You are the cleaning utensil. Your back is a disaster. Get it cleaned up fast.
I mean, SpongeBob, you really shouldn't care. You cleaned a dirty back.
Cars are a snap with new sponge. It cleans sinks. Just look at that shine.
This is just like in
Did you know there's more germs there on a door handle than there are on a toilet?
Hungry?
Oh my god!
Firehouse stuff.
Ew!
What is this?
What the hell? Every time I watch this video, I have that ad.
SpongeBob SquarePants is actually a documentary
I never
television
seen it,
show,
so-
but the creators continually interfere to push their own agendas and make more money. But that brings us to an important question. Do the characters know they're in a television show? Let's go back to that clip where SpongeBob hits the cameraman.
It means another whole year of birthday school! What happened?
Oh, nothing, SpongeBob. You just struck another pedestrian.
Puff calls him a pedestrian, which sounds more like he thinks
I mean,
Bikini Bottom citizen. The different types of marine life in SpongeBob.
it is his fault because
Weird-looking that
he
is-
knew they were driving on that road.
These filmmakers
Well,
were another
yeah.
type of fish. And back to the gorilla episode. The
Could have
gorilla
moved.
force immediately get nervous and run away when SpongeBob questions what's going on.
Oh, well, it's funny. I mean, George, they're onto us!
Let's get out of here.
Almost like the creators don't want the characters to be aware their lives are being interfered with. Now, there isn't a ton of footage of the characters interacting with the filmmakers, but I dug really, really deep and found the smoking gun that answers all of our questions. This is an old commercial from 2004 made to promote the SpongeBob movie.
SpongeBob, what kind of jellyfish is that?
It's not a jellyfish, Patrick. It's a spaceship.
Hey guys, it's Carlos from the Zone. I was wondering if you could answer a few questions.
Questions? Run for your lives!
No, Pat, don't you see? It wants to learn about our world, and it's chosen us.
What yay! We've been chosen.
A submarine comes down to SpongeBob and Patrick to ask questions to promote the new movie. SpongeBob and Patrick are clearly confused by this and think the submarine is some kind of alien. They also have no idea that they're the stars of a movie.
Well, thanks guys. We'll see you in the movie.
Movie? What's that?
I know.
The movie was good. Which is what the...
Watched it a
So
lot.
I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah, and the sixth theory is actually about the movie.
But there
in
are
a
some
way.
characters that have to have some
Oh, yeah.
level of awareness. For example, the Dr. Fish that told the human hand to treat SpongeBob.
But we are watching these in order.
Commercial for the human world. What makes these characters so special? First off, the Director Fish isn't actually from Bikini Bottom. Before he directed this commercial, we saw him as a citizen of New Kelp City in the episode Whatever Happened to SpongeBob. Out of all the characters they could have used, they specifically chose a character from out of town. Almost like the filmmakers didn't want to use anyone in Bikini Bottom so they wouldn't risk everyone finding out about the television show. Then there's the Dr. Fish. We don't know where he originally came from, but he's an extremely suspicious character. Usually he's purple, but sometimes he's orange, sometimes he's purple with orange hands,
What?
sometimes he's a pirate,
I never
and he bears a
recognized
striking
this.
resemblance to Dr. Manowar from the Jellyfish Convention.
And now it only hurts when you touch it.
What different disguises and identities? What is he hiding? I believe hidden throughout Bikini Bottom are spies like this, who are aware they're in a television show and keep tabs on the main characters and make sure everything goes to plan. There's so many suspicious characters in Bikini Bottom that it could literally be anyone. The mailman, the hot dog vendor, Old Man Jenkins, it could literally be anyone. But what if I told you that the biggest spy of all isn't some random side character? It's one of the main characters of the show. Someone who's been there from the very beginning. Someone who's not even from Bikini Bottom. Someone who's not even
Mr.
from
Krabs.
the ocean. That's right.
Oh, Sandy.
Sandy Cheeks.
That one was obvious. Come on.
Sandy
Oh,
Cheeks
yeah.
is the thrill-seeking
Obviously.
scientific squirrel from Texas who lives underwater in
fucked up.
Torpedo. But why did she come to Bikini Bottom? In the episode Chimps Ahoy, we find out she was hired by a group of chimpanzees to come underwater and create inventions. But why does she need to be underwater to make inventions? She could have just as easily have made any of her inventions on land. It must be extremely expensive to maintain a giant dome of air underwater. There is no way the only reason she's here is to make random inventions. I think this whole episode is an elaborate ruse to throw off the other characters from the real reason Sandy is in Bikini Bottom. To spy on the main characters and make sure the show stays on track. Many of the times the characters are in danger,
these are
Sandy
ridiculous.
conveniently steps in to save the day. And many of the wacky, entertaining episode plots are driven by an invention Sandy creates. Everything she does is a calculated move to carry out the hidden agenda of the filmmakers. Her entire friendship with Spongebob and the other characters is built on a lie.
Well, I don't
You're
care.
probably saying, Sandy is a sweet, friendly squirrel. There's no way she's behind this. You're not convinced yet? That's okay. Because
I like how her skirt is just at her stomach.
so insanely revealing that it's actually the whole reason I decided to make this video. Get ready for the big one. Season 10, Episode 10, Feral Friends, is the episode that unlocks this entire mystery. During a birthday party, a green moon suddenly appears and turns everyone except Sandy into less evolved, real-life versions of themselves. Sandy is completely caught off guard by this and decides to call someone for help. And take a guess who she calls.
I remember this.
Hello, French narrator speaking.
Hey, Frenchie!
Sandy Cheeks.
I've never seen this.
I watched this episode.
Frenchie, you see, there's this...
No, I've never seen it.
I have been
Yeah, these theories have spoilers, obviously.
Huh, yeah, I guess that's a pretty interesting clip, yeah. Holy shit! Sandy literally calls the narrator to let him know what's going on and asks
I heard they
instructions
went
on
on
what to do
land and
next.
turned
She's
to
been working with him
regular
the entire
Twitter.
fucking time! He even has a picture of her on his desk!
That is actually kind of weird. You have a crush on Sandy or something?
There is still one small
What?
issue with the television.
No.
Not you, the person.
Plot hole that contradicts everything.
Oh.
This is all a television show filmed by scuba
Like,
divers.
why do you have a picture of your coworker?
It's not like any of the humans filming the show could fit inside them. It's the one...
You like have a picture of me on your desk.
I mean, the most logical explanation is that they have hidden...
For more reasons than one, but still.
Never really
It's
seen
so
anything
weird.
like that.
Boom, boom.
Holy shit. Season 6, Episode 24,
Truth
Sugar
is-
Square. The SpongeBob 10th Anniversary Special where they reveal lots of stuff about the characters. But the most damning piece of evidence comes from when the characters get lost in the Krusty Krab vents
Whoa,
and end up in a
whoa.
room full of monitors showing live footage of all of their
That's an
homes.
image I will never forget.
What?
SpongeBob was behind Mr. Krabs.
Go back to that one.
Oh, yeah. Let me find it.
Piece of evidence comes from when the characters get lost.
You need to take a picture of that.
No, how do you take a screenshot on a computer?
Actually, I'll take a picture of it after the recording. What is he doing? Massaging his ass?
Squidward's not doing it. Neither is Patrick.
I mean, Squidward is questioning why SpongeBob is doing it. Just look at that face. And Patrick is scared. Just look!
The Krusty Krab vents and end up in a room full of monitors showing live footage of all of their homes.
Oh, my house is on TV.
All of our houses are on TV.
Gary the snail, you get down from that bed this instant.
Hey, there's my house.
Look, it's Sandy.
And who is the character responsible for all of these hidden cameras?
Sandy.
Mr. Krabs, why do you have cameras
Oh.
watching us? No, but
Pay attention, man!
I just want to make sure you all floss after every meal.
Thank you, Mr. Krabs. Dental hygiene is very, very important.
Dental hygiene? Eugene, you lying bastard. Of course he would sell out his friends for a quick buck. And if there's any part of you that thinks there's some chance Mr. Krabs has all these hidden cameras for some other reason, then take a look at what happens next.
Hey, who are those guys?
It's us, Patrick. But who are they?
Alright, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. A cameraman and a boom operator have been following around the characters this entire time. And just like the gorilla, as soon as they get seen, they make a run for it. The case is closed. Television theory is something the show has consistently alluded to from the very first episode to the newest episodes. Maybe one day the show will actually directly address it and our characters will discover the real truth about their world. But regardless, that's my theory. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more. See you next time. Hey, whoa, hang on a second. You thought I forgot about the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy thing, didn't you? Alright, here's a quick...
Aaron, you forgot about it
Mermaid Man and
completely.
Barnacle Boy were two superheroes that fought crime underwater and protected the sea.
I didn't, you did.
Whether or not they actually did this or was all staged for television isn't clear, but they both spent their lives underwater until they became old and retired. But after spending so much time under the sea, they no longer fit in with human society. Plus, Mermaid Man is clearly dealing with some form of dementia and PTSD from fighting evil.
But you can't retire. There's evil afoot.
Mine built a cactus.
So, they decided to live the rest of their lives in Bikini Bottom. And in order to fit in better with their fellow sea creatures, they made the permanent decision to shrink themselves.
Hey, can you pause it?
The case is closed. Again.
Can you pause it so I can go get food?
Oh, go get food real quick.
Okay. Sorry for this. I just got food.
Hurry up.
Okay, hold on. I got food. I want it. I really want it. On it. Hi. Okay, you can continue. Aaron.
My mom's making me hot dogs.
Okay, you can continue.
Think you're a good driver? Now's your chance to prove it with Karma Drive, and you can save on your...
This is not Mrs. Puff. You may think she's just SpongeBob's boating teacher, but you'd be very, very wrong. For years, she's been running from her dark and mysterious past, but it's finally caught up to her. And behind it all is a mastermind who's been secretly controlling her life and psychologically torturing her. If you guys thought my last two theories were mind-blowing, get ready for my biggest conspiracy yet. This is the Mrs. Puff theory. I gotta start off by saying, wow, the reaction to my last two SpongeBob theories has been insane.
Squilliam, you lying, deceiving, who's that handsome young devil?
I'm glad you guys are enjoying my ridiculously deep dives into this show. I mean, I have to watch so much SpongeBob and read so much of the Wikipedia to put these theories together. But it's worth it because the writers actually take the time to set these things up. Now, a lot of people have been asking, Alex, how do you come up with these crazy conspiracy theories? Well, I always start these theories by looking for the moment moments in the show that seem to be implying more than they're letting on. Like I've said before, SpongeBob is a weird show with lots of abstract humor, but I can usually understand the intent the writers had behind a weird joke. But then there's stuff like this.
I hope I still remember how to do this.
And it's so confusing and weird that it feels like the writers are trying to imply something beyond just weirdness for the sake of comedy. And nowhere in the show is there more of these moments than with Mrs. Puff. And once I started looking into it, it led me down the deepest rabbit hole I've ever seen from this show. So, let's begin. Uh-oh. Looks like I'm getting hacked by a hacker. I knew this would happen if I got too close.
Oh, okay.
I just skipped the sponsor. Thank God.
Certain parts, like at the end of the video, you're not going to want to skip the whole thing because there's actually some extra lore he's doing, like, not really for the theory, but he's doing it for, like, a personal lore, an RNG, if you will.
Despite it not really being her fault. We also know that she was once married, but
You'll see what I mean.
That's my driving teacher, Mrs. Puff.
Mrs. Puff? Oh, she's married.
Oh no, Mr. Krabs, she's single.
Then what happened to Mr. Puff?
She doesn't like to talk about it.
Throughout the show, there are moments like this that seem to be hinting at her having a dark, mysterious past. And in season...
Oh shit, what happened? I did not mean to do that. Oh my God.
By fishermen.
That's my driving teacher, Mrs. Puff.
Mrs. Puff? Oh, she's married.
Oh no, Mr. Krabs, she's single.
Then what happened to Mr. Puff?
She doesn't like to talk about it.
Throughout the show, there are moments like this that seem to be hinting at her having a dark, mysterious past. And in Season 2, Episode 10, No Free Rides, we get the biggest clue about who Mrs. Puff really is. After SpongeBob fails the driving test yet again, Mrs. Puff has just had a...
SpongeBob creators literally are story writers.
Really passed. She quickly realizes that this is a horrible idea.
People who do the SpongeBob episodes say no food is made of dead fish. But yet, Chum is literally dead fish.
So much destruction. This reporter asks, why? Local consensus places the blame on this negligent, selfish driving instructor who...
Remember this clip, because it's going to be very important later on. And then she says this insanely revealing line.
What have I done? Everyone will know that I let him slide through school. I'll have to move to a new city, start a new boarding school with a new name. No. Not again.
No, not again. Come on, it's like they're just begging someone to make a theory about this. So we now know Mrs. Puff was originally from a different town. She's owned a different boating school, and Mrs. Puff isn't even her real name. There's something in her past that she ran away from. Now, there's some debate over whether she's actually referring to a new name for herself or for her boating school, but I do think she's talking about her own name, because if she's trying to run away from something in her past, she wouldn't start a new boating school with her real name in the title. Now, when she says again, I don't think she's just referring to starting a new life.
Everyone will know that I let him slide through school. Not again.
I think at her previous boating school, she had a terrible student just like SpongeBob, who she prematurely gave a license to, and it led to something so terrible happening that she had to run away and start a whole new life. In Season 3, Episode 5, Doing Time, we get a flashback to when...
Whoa, you don't want to do that! I'm too funny.
I pledge that as long as the student is willing to learn, I shall never give up.
Hi, I'm SpongeBob SquarePants.
With the opening of this new boating school, let's keep in mind that this is not her first boating school. Maybe the whole reason she's making this pledge now at her second school is because she gave up on a student at her previous school, and that led to her having to run away and start a new life. She's pledging to never make the same mistake again. Now let's skip ahead to one of the newer episodes. Season 12, Episode 21, Lighthouse Louie, where Mrs. Puff has SpongeBob organize all the stuff she keeps in the school's lighthouse. There's lots of interesting things hidden in the background, but the first thing that caught my eye was this file labeled Mrs. Puff. It makes sense for a teacher to have files on all their students, but why would she have a file about herself? But let's remember, she's not Mrs. Puff. That's a fake identity she created, and I'm willing to bet all the fake identification documents are in this file. Back in No Free Rides, she just gives SpongeBob a license that she already has. She clearly makes these licenses.
I love you, Kitty.
All know how to make fake identifications. But that's not the only hint about Mrs. Puff's past in this lighthouse. There is something in here that directly confirms all of this. As SpongeBob swallows all of Mrs. Puff's junk, we see something very interesting for only a few frames. Deranged boat teacher makes getaway. 10 seasons later, and the creators are still hiding stuff about Mrs. Puff fleeing her old life. It might not look like it at first, but we actually get a ton of new information from this newspaper. This is from the New Kelp Post, which tells us Mrs. Puff originally lived in New Kelp City. There's a caption that reads, "Distracts authorities with balloon animals." And do you remember that clip from the beginning?
I hope I still remember how to do this.
What?
So whenever Mrs. Puff makes a getaway or commits a crime, she leaves behind a balloon animal to distract the police. I'm telling you guys, these writers don't just do stuff randomly.
What, Kitty? What?
And the most damning piece of evidence from this newspaper is
How do you
actually
get
the
distracted by a
picture of
balloon?
Mrs. Puff. Kind of a strange photo, right? We have seen this exact same photo of her before.
I remember.
Free ride when she imagines what would happen if SpongeBob got his license.
Local consensus places the blame on this negligent, selfish driving instructor.
This means that this isn't just her imagination of what might happen. This is also her remembering what happened when she lived in New Kelp City and prematurely gave one of her students a license. And I'm willing to bet that the fish reporting the news is the exact same one who reported about her in New Kelp City. Let me explain. We know from the episode Whatever Happened to SpongeBob that reporters from the Bikini Bottom News can also work for the New Kelp City News. But the real reason I think this is because of his hair. In the entire show, we have never seen this fish reporter with hair before. Why would the creators go out of their way to add that detail? Because Mrs. Puff isn't imagining him as he looks now. She's remembering him from years ago.
Holy shit, this is 30 minutes
when he
long.
reported about her in New Kelp City. Mrs. Puff has been running from her past.
This is a good theory,
She is
though.
now
So.
forced to relive her experience as an unteachable student through SpongeBob.
Why?
Reliving this trauma has put her insanity. And trust me when I say, you have no idea how delusional she actually is.
God.
I hate you.
How completely skip ads?
There legally shouldn't be ads when you
Another running gag
are recording it.
Mrs. Puff's occasional nervous breakdowns or moments of insanity because of SpongeBob, and they get more severe as the show continues.
Hey,
At first, she did care
why-
for SpongeBob,
I don't know why
but in
they
the newer episodes,
did
she
2
literally tries
ads
to
in
kill
one.
SpongeBob just to get him out of her life. Even SpongeBob just walking up to her gives her severe PTSD.
Hi, Mrs. Puff.
Hit the brakes! SpongeBob! What's the tree? Laugh!
Wait, Mrs. Puff, we're not driving.
These mostly seem like just one-off moments, and for the most part, Mrs. Puff is still a functioning member of society, right? I'm going to show you that she's actually much more insane and delusional than you would think. And some of the episodes she's in take place entirely in her own head. If we're talking about
She'd be
how
sweating.
Puff is, there is
Like
no
she should be playing Fortnite. That's how much she sweat.
Once again, SpongeBob fails the voting test and causes destruction
my
and
God,
chaos, which leads to
seriously.
Mrs. Puff going to jail. SpongeBob keeps
Yeah,
running
she
into
goes to
to
jail
try
a
and bust
lot.
her out.
The reason she go to jail is because she be hacking in Fortnite.
We actually get another interesting line about Mrs. Puff's past in this episode.
Okay, you can do this, Puff. You can get through this without losing your sanity. Oh, that's a road we don't want to go down again.
So we know that Mrs. Puff has lost her sanity in the past, probably from her previous terrible student. But it seems like she's recovered since then, except in this episode she has a complete mental breakdown. SpongeBob keeps appearing in impossible places until she was thrown
Oh,
into
that.
solitary
Imagine just staring off your flash and just showing a SpongeBob face or something.
The episode ends in a way that's so weird and confusing that it rivals the infamous gorilla episode ending. As Mrs. Puff freaks out, she's suddenly transported back into the beginning of the episode when SpongeBob was taking the test. Except this time, SpongeBob gets arrested instead of her.
No, I can't believe it. It was all a dream. I'm not going to jail.
Why would you go to jail? You already did your time.
So what's really going on in this episode? Was the ending all in her head? Is Mrs. Puff just caught in an endless loop? I think this entire
What?
episode is inside of Mrs. Puff's head, and she's actually on the
She's really good at
outside the whole time.
reacting.
She's been imagining herself inside of prison. I should explain. Listen closely to what the police officer tells Mrs. Puff.
Shut up.
Why would you go to jail?
You already did your time.
Why would you go to jail? You already did your time. And then revealing she's still in a prison uniform despite being on the outside. So, this scene is obviously inside of her head, which means everything we see is symbolic. And if we can understand the symbolism of it, we can understand what's really going on with Mrs. Puff. Notice how she's suddenly wearing the black and white striped even though the entire episode she's been wearing this orange jumpsuit. Why would the creators go to the extra effort to draw a whole new prison uniform for her? Well, we've seen her wear this black and white prison uniform before. The very first time she went to prison back in Season 1, Episode 7, Hall Monitor. So when the police officer says, "You've already done your time," he's referring to the first time she went to jail. But why is she still wearing that uniform outside of prison? Well, she may have jail, but she was by no means free. Having to teach SpongeBob is a prison in itself. And she manifests that by believing she's in jail and wearing
Like, imagine being Mrs. Puff for a day.
this entire episode, every time SpongeBob magically appears,
like
is
going
all
to
inside
jail
her
a
head.
lot.
She is completely
Going to jail
nuts.
because your student is terrible.
These hallucinations don't stop there. Just 6 episodes later, she goes to a house party SpongeBob throws. And while everyone is talking and having a good time, in the background we see she's literally herself talking to an ice sculpture of SpongeBob. You can't tell me this isn't intentional. I mean, look at this. Now back to the episode No Free Rides, there is a very strange picture inside of Mrs. Puff's home. It's a picture of Mrs. Puff inside of a picture of Mrs. Puff inside of a picture of Mrs. Puff, creating an infinite loop. This is something that has confused SpongeBob fans for years. But like everything in the show, there is a reason for it being just like the end of Doing Time, where she SpongeBob failing to drive
I'll pet you.
It's all symbolic of what her life is. Just this endless cycle of SpongeBob taking the test and failing, and no matter what she does, she ends up back in the same place at the end of the episode. So this picture is another
just stop
manifestation
teaching
of
him
what she's
how to
feeling.
drive.
We even see another one of these pictures all the way in Season 9, Episode 5, Bumper to Bumper. This is something that the show is consistently alluding to. Mrs. Puff is an unreliable narrator, and anything we see with her could potentially all be inside of her own head. In fact, I believe I found another episode that takes place inside of her head. In Season 9, Episode 17, SpongeBob goes to a different boating instructor and actually gets his license. But as soon as he does, we briefly cut to Mrs. Puff waking up.
You pass. I finally got my driver's license.
Lock your doors, bar your windows, it's the end of the world!
Now, this seems like it's probably just a throwaway gag where Mrs. Puff
Imagine being a getaway driver, but for the getaway, the person you're driving to get it away is also your teacher.
How come she wakes up at night when SpongeBob clearly gets his license during the day? Because this entire episode actually takes place inside of Mrs. Puff's head. And this is the only part of the episode in the real world.
I don't know what that was all about, but I'm glad it's over.
But let me pause for a second. I'm sure some of you are already wondering if this contradicts my previous SpongeBob video with the television series. If you haven't watched that one, the gist of it is that the entire show is a documentary television show, and everything we see is actually being secretly filmed by scuba divers. And there's a ton of evidence to support that. I'm proud of that video. You should definitely check it out. But if everything's supposed to be from a camera, then how are we seeing things from inside Mrs. Puff's head? In fact, how do we see dreams and flashbacks and thought bubbles? Well, I think the simple answer is that even though we view the show through an objective camera lens, the world itself still follows the rules of a cartoon. You can never
That's fair.
Wait, hold on! What's that?
Why are you growling?
You'll never get me formula.
Like, be nice to whoever you're not being nice to.
Still see, record, or interact with it, because that's just how cartoons work. Back to the theory, we know that her insanity has caused her to live a life of illusion, but if you remember back to the Lighthouse episode, she's also become an extreme hoarder, and looking at her collection of junk is like a look directly into her mind. So there's gotta be something we can learn about her from it.
Silly
Her
kitty.
boyfriend, Mr. Krabs, the hall monitor belt she gives her students, the mean drawings her students make her, SpongeBob's diary.
Big fat me.
SpongeBob's diary? Why does she have SpongeBob's diary? The last time we saw that, it was safely put away in SpongeBob's library. What's it doing in her lighthouse? And why does she have Squidward's painting? And a table from the Krusty Krab? And SpongeBob's bike? And Squidward's teddy bear? And the hair curlers Mr. Krabs had? And that statue of Squidward? And that diamond ring? And that crown? And that bucket of radioactive waste? And that jellyfish sign? Oh my god. Mrs. Puff
You silly
is a
kitty.
kleptomaniac. Mrs. Puff has been stealing from everyone in Bikini Bottom. I can even prove that her pet snail from Season 3, Episode 19 was stolen. You've had that at snails since you've been a little girl, huh?
How
And
is
how
it
come
not
that is the
dead?
exact same snail Squidward had 4 episodes ago in the Great Snail Race?
I mean, snails. I mean, cats can live. I mean, she didn't specify what age her own, but either way, it's not hers, so.
He even has her paper.
Well, I see that now.
But why the hell would Mrs. Puff steal all this other junk? What possible use could she have for any of it? We could find the answer to that question by looking at this green hat.
If cats live like snails, I mean, if snails live like cats from the real world, then snails probably live up to at most 20.
Feel comfortable accepting all these gifts. Except apparently she's not too uncomfortable to steal them back afterwards. So clearly Mrs. Puff isn't stealing this stuff because she wants to use it. She just steals for the thrill of it. Maybe stealing things is her way of coping with the insanity of her everyday life. And remember, this isn't the first time she's gone insane. You can get through this without losing your sanity. Oh, that's a road we don't want to I have reason to believe that she started stealing things way back whenever she first went insane. I hope I still remember how to do this. I don't think she's just talking about remembering how to make balloon animals. She's probably also referring to remembering how to steal a boat. And if that's not enough for you, in a Spongebob comic book, she actually admits that she used to rob banks, and she wears the exact same ski mask. Mrs. Puff lives a completely
Okay, calm down.
I'm just mocking my kitty.
If Spongebob is causing her life to be so miserable, then why does she even keep teaching him? After all the destruction and pain he's caused, she'd totally be justified to expel him, right? I mean, she will literally try and kill him so she doesn't have to teach him, but for some reason she can't just expel him. It's almost like there's someone forcing her to teach Spongebob.
And time. Great.
Imagine it's a Rickroll. Never gonna give you up.
Oh, it's some movie trailer.
Okay.
Back to the episode No Free Rides. After prematurely giving SpongeBob a license, she steals his boatmobile so he can't hurt anyone. In the end, this causes her to get arrested and go to jail, but then SpongeBob tells
Stay there!
Besides, the warden said she'll let
I'm kidding, baby J.
do her a favor. What's that? Free driving lessons!
she'll get to leave prison early if she gives free driving lessons. That seems like an oddly specific requirement. And that's not the only time this gets mentioned either. In Season 9, Episode 5, we get this scene.
If only SpongeBob could pass his boating test, he'd be out of my life once and for all. Unfortunately, I keep getting reminded of the consequences if I get too angry with the little nuisance.
Consequences? Are you telling me that if she refuses to teach SpongeBob specifically, she'll be violating her parole and get sent back to jail? Why does the prison even care if Mrs. Puff teaches SpongeBob? Is it just part of some weird community service? But things start to get really suspicious at the end of Season 7, Episode 5, SpongeBob. Once again, Mrs. Puff ends up in jail, but this time she's forced to go to a prison boating school.
Oh, wow! A driver's education class!
Good day, class!
He must be having a nightmare! What's he doing here? Oh.
Dear Mrs. Puff, I'm following in your footsteps and got a job as a driver's ed teacher for the summer.
Who in their right mind would hire SpongeBob to do this after he's literally destroyed the city countless times while driving? Is this just another one of Mrs. Puff's delusions? Or is the prison intentionally forcing her to be around SpongeBob just to torture her? I mean, look at the way the guard forces her to sit there and listen to him.
Get me out of here!
Even the guard doesn't want this.
And look at that evil smile he has as he watches.
Now he wants to do it.
There is something very strange going on with this prison. Then, in Season 10, Episode 8, The Getaway, Mrs. Puff meets a criminal named Dorsal Dan and starts to get romantic feelings for him. This is also while she's still dating Mr. Krabs. Shame on you, Mrs. Puff. At the end of the episode, they both accidentally land in prison, and the warden puts him in solitary confinement.
Warden, I found this one pulling up outside the prison. Dorsal Dan, a notorious getaway driver. Toss him in the clink.
I'll wait for you, my little tender boy.
In or out of jail, this prison will stop at nothing to make sure she is alone and miserable. But why? Who's behind all of this? Why would anyone care this much about torturing Mrs. Puff? Who's the mastermind pulling the strings? Well, maybe it has something to do with her old life in New Kelp City. Maybe she crossed someone and they've been plotting their revenge ever since. But I've looked in every single frame of New Kelp City, and there is nothing connecting it back to that. I've looked literally everywhere. Not a single person from the city that has anything to do with Mrs. Puff. Well, I mean, maybe except for the literal warden of the prison she's being kept in. He may be hiding slightly off screen, but that is clearly the same warden of the Bikini Bottom prison. And this isn't some random background character that the show reuses all the time. He is a very distinct character. You can call me out on the Squilliam video all you want, but not this time. But wait a second. If the warden was originally from New Kelp City, then he'd probably know about Mrs. Puff's dark past and her true identity. So why hasn't he exposed her? He's just kept quiet about the fact that one of his inmates is living a completely false identity. She'd probably even get more prison time when they find out who she really is, so why hasn't he said anything? This is where things get very interesting. So, we know Mrs. Puff prematurely gave a student at her original boating.
I mean, technically that's illegal. Not telling when you see a crime or something isn't that illegal.
Terrible to the warden, and he's blamed Mrs. Puff ever since. Whatever happened was so terrible that it caused him to move to Bikini Bottom and get a job as the warden of the town's prison. And to his surprise, he finds out that one of his inmates is actually the person he blamed for that terrible thing happening. This works out perfectly. He can finally get his revenge. All he has to do is be stuck in jail for much longer. Except for Meow. Mrs. Puff actually likes being in prison.
One day down, 2,528 to go. That's just shy of 4 years without SpongeBob. I'm going to enjoy this.
So, he comes up with a new plan. Keep Mrs. Puff secret and let her out of prison early, but only under the condition that she has to teach SpongeBob. He's literally turning her normal life into a prison. And he makes sure going back to prison to avoid SpongeBob isn't even an option for her anymore, because he'll make sure that SpongeBob is always in there with her. And he's not gonna let her escape and start a new life like she did in New Kelp City. He makes sure to give her an ankle bracelet that doesn't let her leave Bikini Bottom.
I can't even leave town without violating.
Are these theories interesting?
He is the mastermind who's been controlling everything this entire
Are you
time.
enjoying it?
Guess what? His insidious plan doesn't even end there.
So they're
It's not
interesting.
the first time we've seen the warden character. We first see him in season 4, episode 2, Krabs vs. Plankton. In this episode, Plankton's
Do you want to watch more after this one?
decides to sue Mr. Krabs for everything he owns. And then guess who shows up out of nowhere and offers to be Mr. Krabs' lawyer?
I really need is a good lawyer.
Oh, did somebody say lawyer? Richard A. Bottomfeeder, attorney at law. I couldn't help but notice that this...
It's the same guy.
Richard A. Bottomfeeder, the warden of the Bikini Bottom prison, is also apparently a lawyer? That's kind of strange. Those both sound like major careers. You usually wouldn't imagine someone being both. And he says he'll be Mr. free of charge.
So, how much is this gonna cost me?
Actually, I won't charge a dime unless we win.
Well, that's awfully generous of you, Richard. He seems very confident that he can win the case, but right before he goes to court, he slips on some water and says SpongeBob will have to be Mr. Krabs' lawyer now.
Oh, this is gonna be a slam dunk.
No! Mr. Krabs' lawyer, speak to me! Wrapped with pain, can't move.
Looks like you're gonna have to handle this one, son.
That's so over dramatic.
SpongeBob that he has to represent Mr. Krabs, even though he himself called SpongeBob
Is his
a
voice
liability.
different or the same?
We won't be needing him.
I don't think he. I think his voice is the same.
I'm a liability than an asset.
But it's okay, because apparently all SpongeBob needs to win is inside of Richard's briefcase.
Everything you need to win is in this here case.
Really? Everything?
I mean-
Except when SpongeBob gets to court,
It would have been smart to bring a knife or something.
to the case.
It's, all in here.
Really?
Yep, right in here.
Is there a problem?
Your lawyer didn't give me the combination.
Either Richard A.
Probably was 1, 2, 3. Let's be honest.
History, or this is all part of his elaborate plan to ruin Mrs. Puff's life. Here's what I think happened. First, he finds out that Mr. Krabs is being sued, and he wants to ensure that Mr. Krabs loses the case because he wants to destroy any chance Mrs. Puff has at finding love. So he pretends to be a lawyer, even offering his services for free, something Mr. Krabs can't resist. He makes Mr. Krabs feel confident that they're going to win the case, and then at the last second he pretends to get into an accident so he can't represent Mr. Krabs. Instead of finding a real lawyer to replace him, he tells the most incompetent person for the job, SpongeBob, that he has to be Mr. Krabs' lawyer. And he gives him a case that allegedly has all the the answers in it without actually giving SpongeBob the combination, setting him up for a total failure in court. Richard A. Bottomfeeder refuses to let anyone get close to Mrs. Puff. Not Dorsal Dan, and not Mr. Krabs. This guy has squillion levels of hate for Mrs. Puff. But why? What exactly did her previous student...
I forgot I was recording.
It can't be something as simple as him or his property getting damaged. It has to be something life-changing. Something like losing a loved one because of the student's reckless driving. And I think the show gives us one last hint about who this might have been. All the pictures of Mrs. Puff's house are very meaningful to her. She's got photos of Mr. Krabs, her pet snail, and of course those infinitely looping photos that told us so much about her mental state. But there is one more photo in this house that might be the key to this entire conspiracy. In Season 12, Episode 14, Plankton's Old Chum, we see a photo of someone we've never seen before on Mrs. Puff's wall. There's some surprising similarities between this character and Richard. The green color, the red bow tie, the overall fancy, serious appearance. It clearly isn't the same person, but maybe this is someone related to Richard. Like a father, a son, or a brother that Mrs. Puff's former student killed. And the reason she keeps a photo of him up is to have a permanent reminder to never make the same mistake of giving someone a license who doesn't deserve it. Mrs. Puff is a boating school teacher who once made a terrible mistake that led to the loss of her business, identity, sanity, and any chance at finding happiness. I like to think that there used to be a time when she was happy, back when her husband was still alive. If only he was still around today, maybe she wouldn't have to face all of this on her own. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. Is what I would say if I was done, except her husband is still alive. Woo! Let's do this. In the SpongeBob movie, SpongeBob and Patrick travel to a gift shop in Shell City that's full of dead fish turned into knickknacks and ornaments. Except they end up setting off the smoke detector, which activates the sprinkler system and brings all the dead fish back to life, including a very familiar-looking pufferfish hanging from the ceiling. Mr. Puff is alive. Well, wait a second. If he's alive and he escaped, then why hasn't he gone back to Mrs. Puff? Why is she still alone? Because remember, she ran away from their home in Shell City and started a new identity. So sadly, Mr. Puff has no way of finding her. The tragedy of Mrs. Puff's story is that her happiness is just a city away, but she can never even leave town because that would violate her parole. Richard A. Bottomfeeder probably even knows her husband is alive and is making sure
that is such a dick move.
Says Richard really is a Bottomfeeder. This video took a ton of time and effort to do all the research for, so I really hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and thanks to NordVPN.
Ah, that was my house.
Go to nordvpn.com/Alex.
Wait, don't. There's some more.
Wait. What's this?
The interesting parts.
That looks tasty.
Raw meat?
Yeah.
You'd eat it?
Not raw, but cooked.
Would you rather... Wait, would you eat raw meat for $10,000?
Yes.
Would you eat? But would you eat, like, a whole thing of raw meat? I mean.
Shut up.
You want to watch number 4 now?
Ooh, I need to go get my hot dog real quick.
Okay, are we going to watch more while you eat?
Yeah. I want to keep watching these.
Live on a variety of networks with YouTube TV. Try it free.
If we can get these ads.
I can't even see your screen anymore.
Are the Bikini Bottom...
Oh, there we go. Pause it. 0. You would have just pressed the 0 key and it wouldn't have went to 0.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Press 1 right now.
I'm coming!
Or not. Mama! Alright guys, now that I'm alone, I'm gonna spoil the whole theory right now. I don't think he's gone. Alright, so while he's gone, make sure to check out the description of of all videos. Maybe you'll see something you're not supposed to. Maybe you'll see a Discord server link. Who knows? But you really should check the description out because, you know, Aaron helps. Aaron has been motivating me to make videos, so subscribe to him, even though he probably won't upload for a while, I don't know. But, yeah. Oh, he's coming back. So a huge thanks to Aaron.
I'm back.
Okay, I give you a huge thanks. Now continue.
Are the Bikini Bottom citizens the result of nuclear radiation? Is Pearl's mother?
She's a fucker.
What is the
What did you just say?
formula? These are by far the three biggest questions of the show, SpongeBob SquarePants. And today, I'm going
Don't
to
say that
all
again.
three of them and more with just one theory. Get ready for the darkest SpongeBob conspiracy you'll ever see. This is the evolution theory. We're back with another SpongeBob conspiracy. Guess I'm the SpongeBob guy now. That's all I make. You guys sure love these SpongeBob theories.
Alex Fail out with another video. The makers of SpongeBob interfere, put in their own message to brainwash you people. Squilliam sends the doctor in. He's not really a doctor. He's just trying to infiltrate that little round thing on his head there. Oh my God! Thank God for Alex Fail. Look at that. He's helping me prove my point. You know what? That is awesome.
Maybe some of you love them a little too much. You know, I got videos, right? I make films and stuff too. Anyone want to watch those? Anyways, by far the most popular SpongeBob theory out there is the Bikini Atoll nuclear radiation theory. It's pretty simple. It's been confirmed that Bikini Bottom is actually beneath a real-life place called Bikini Atoll. From 1946 to 1958, the United States did nuclear tests there, devastating the area and leaving it radioactive even to this day. The theory states that the reason why the citizens of Bikini Bottom can talk and inform advanced societies is because of mutations caused by these nuclear tests.
I mean, it makes
And
sense.
that's about the whole theory. Even though there's tons and tons of videos about it, none of them actually go in depth with it or really look through the show for evidence. But y'all know
But
that
the evolution theory wouldn't really make
it's not going to be
sense.
some baby surface level analysis. I will watch every single episode of SpongeBob. I will read every page of the goddamn Wikipedia. If I'm making a theory on it, then you guys know it's going to be good. And once I really started looking into this theory, I realized that there is so much more here than anyone thinks.
Can you stop?
Because today we're
Thank
going
you.
to be solving the biggest mysteries in the history of SpongeBob SquarePants and changing the way you look at the entire show. So without further ado, let's begin the theory.
Part 1. The Bikini Ad
In order
Theory.
to find out whether the Bikini Atoll theory is true, we first have to determine whether fish talking and being so intelligent is unique to Bikini Bottom, or if that's...
Pretty sure he has an ad near the end in this
You know,
one.
it could just be that all animals in this world are able to talk, and that's completely normal because at the end of the day...
But he also has one of those, meat type,
take a look at season 10
with the monster type thing.
get a bit of a hint about how the SpongeBob world works.
So you want to watch that.
Moon appears and transforms all the characters into less cartoony, real-life versions of themselves. Just like
I mean, that SpongeBob thing didn't make sense, but Patrick made more sense.
French narrator is watching all this unfold, and he says this very important line.
I have been monitoring the behavior of the green moon all day. It is called Neptune's moon. Every 100 years, it de-evolves everyone in Bikini Bottom into primal fish.
Every 100 years, it de-evolves everyone in Bikini Bottom into primal fish. So this implies that the characters in Bikini Bottom are more evolved and were once like these primal fish. But this doesn't prove that the evolution only exists in Bikini Bottom. It could still be a worldwide phenomenon. Remember that bonus DVD clip I found in my television theory? It was about humans studying fish in Bikini Bottom because of their intelligence.
Land-loving scientists have tried to learn the secrets of intelligence. Their studies led them to the sea, where the citizens of one undersea colony demonstrated a genius so enormous. The scientists
Okay, fine. Leave me alone.
record their actions for use in teaching mankind how to live better.
This makes it sound an awful lot like the fish in Bikini Bottom actually are uniquely evolved and it's not some worldwide phase. Then, in the SpongeBob 20-year anniversary special, SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout, we get a major piece of evidence for this theory. SpongeBob and Patrick take a tour of the surface world and eventually go to a fish store and see some very realistic, less evolved...
Yeah, I watched this actually.
What kind of monsters would want to keep fish folk in
Talking
there
with your
like
mouth full, are you?
beautiful?
They can't talk back to SpongeBob and Patrick, and they're actually able to swim freely through the water instead of being affected by gravity. They are clearly showing us that both evolved and primitive fish exist in this universe at the same time. Now, sometimes we've seen Bikini Bottom characters represented as realistic fish like this, but only when they're out of water, never while they're still in water like these fish. We even see this again in the beginning of the third SpongeBob movie,
What you doing, you silly kitty?
full of these realistic primal fish,
Okay.
but eventually we get to Bikini Bottom where the more evolved fish
You
live. There you go.
weirdo.
Direct
Yo,
proof that the
weirdo.
citizens of Bikini Bottom
Come
are
on.
uniquely evolved.
Okay,
This is a
bye.
very deliberate world-building choice for the creators.
You don't get to watch me. Oh, okay, you wanna watch? You wanna watch?
You did it.
Yeah, come watch.
Well, let's hold on for a second. As much as I love the Cold Series, there's actually one major piece of
Be
evidence.
nice.
Something
Calm.
I've never seen anyone else bring up.
Calm.
Theory. Prehistoric.
Calm.
We've seen episodes like Ugg or SB-109 that show Bikini Bottom millions of years in the past. But
They can't see our names.
The primal version.
sure, they may not be super intelligent or advanced, but they're still clearly way more evolved than the primitive, realistic versions we see in Feral Friends or in the fish store. So, how are we seeing these evolutions millions of years before the Bikini Atoll test? Well, unfortunately, I think the only conclusion is that the Bikini Atoll theory just isn't true.
Sorry about my cat.
Clearly something has caused Bikini Bottom citizens to be uniquely evolved. There's no denying that.
I'll blow in your ear.
Cause that took place millions of years ago and couldn't have been the Bikini Atoll nuclear tests. Then, what really caused the evolution? In the entire show, the only thing we've seen that directly affects the evolution of characters is the green
my
feral friends.
Why,
Except the French
kitty?
narrator
Hey,
specifically
silly kitty.
named after the ruler of the seven seas, King Neptune. King Neptune is a character
Nothing.
who's been around since the beginning.
Literally
He's
nothing.
a character who the Bikini Bottom citizens view as their god, and he's a character who has the ability to change fish into other forms.
Ow!
King
He hurt me.
to turn the fish of the sea into more evolved subjects for him to rule over. He's the one who's been behind it all this time. Now, I could spend this entire video talking about King Neptune and his weird continuity and contradictions in the show, but I'll save that for another theory. What I'd much rather talk about are the implications of having evolved...
The 3D one was actually a different character.
Now, we know that this evolution
That's
is
Poseidon,
just Bikini
I think.
We've seen different cities and places far across the ocean that still have talking fish, which makes sense.
Which is from the latest movie.
Bottom has evolved to resemble humans, so it's no surprise that just like
Yeah, you're just gonna have a bit of spoilers in this, so.
But now I have an interesting question for you.
Yeah, you don't care. No, people have to know coming into this. There's gonna be spoilers. It's just theory videos.
Bothering each other, you know, just like real life humans.
Bold!
Wait a
You
second.
know that?
Bold! No ad!
Shit doesn't add. Oh my god.
Who even uses flip phones?
They're too expensive. Wow, that's lit AF.
In season 3, episode 10,
Flip phones suck!
there is this hilarious, absurd moment when they're talking about Mr. Krabs.
After the war,
crab stayed secluded in a deep depression that seemed endless.
Like, what war happened in Bikini Bottom? They just tell us this and
Why
then
is there
completely
YouTube
drop it.
links?
But with this new context,
How do you get rid of
is
it?
it possible that crabs fought in a war against these primitive wild fish of the sea? I mean, let's remember in Feral Friends, some of those
Just ignore it. Now I can't see.
fish, and they immediately started attacking each
Oh,
other.
there you go.
The battle for the survival of the fittest rages on in the animal kingdom.
So yeah, in order for the Bikini Bottom citizens to survive and expand, they would probably break into some kind of war. And from the sounds of it, this war must have been pretty brutal to put Mr. Krabs into such a deep depression. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Is there actually any evidence that proves the war Mr. Krabs fought in was specifically
That looks so
this
wrong.
Evolutionary war? Well, through the few flashbacks we get, we know
We
that
can't say why it looks wrong.
they were sailing ships on an ocean even though they're already underwater. This is actually a real-life phenomenon where certain parts of the sea can have a higher level of salinity, and it looks like an underwater ocean. Shout out Miss Parks, my high school marine biology teacher. We also know from maps of Bikini Bottom that the town is surrounded by this underwater ocean. So that places Mr.
Let's just say the
Krabs
imposter
outside Bikini Bottom where this
vented.
evolutionary war would have to take place. Then if we took a look at Mr. Krabs' home, we see it is full of memorabilia from his past days in the Navy. But hidden within here is something that will absolutely blow your mind and answer one of the biggest
The
questions in the
science
show.
triad.
Hanging there on his wall is a picture of a massive whale next to a ship. You don't think that could be... No, it can't be.
His wife.
Pearl's mother? Pearl is Mr. Krabs' whale daughter. The show never really explains how a crab can be the father of a whale, but most people just assume she was adopted. People have been speculating about who Pearl's biological mother is for years, and I think we finally just found our answer. We see 2 photos of this whale on a ship in Season 3, Episode 9, just 1 episode before we find out Mr. Krabs fought in a war. Since I think we can assume that this is something he encountered, and not just some random picture of a whale on a ship above the ocean. The whale is massive compared to the ship. We've seen adult whales in Bikini Bottom before, but they are nothing compared to the size of this whale. This has a much closer resemblance to Pearl when she de-evolved in Feral Friends and became massive. So this has to be an unevolved primitive whale, and the picture clearly shows them fighting. Not only does this prove that there was a war between evolved and primitive fish, but Mr. Krabs definitely fought in it. But this also implies something very dark. Mr. Krabs killed Pearl's mother.
How does that make you feel, Aaron?
Direct reference we get in the show to Pearl's mother. Mr. Krabs' many sayings, Mother of Pearl.
Mother of Pearl! Mother of Pearl! Holy Mother of Pearl!
He uses it in places something like Holy Crap or Dear God, only saying it when something truly shocking or terrible happens, because he knows the terrible thing that happened to Pearl's mother. Why did Mr. Krabs go into such a deep depression after the war? Because he's haunted by what he's done, and the smoking harpoon to prove it is right there on his wall. So, that leaves us with an important question.
I mean, yeah, you kind of have to keep that up.
After he killed her mother, he probably realized she had an
Holy
infant
crap.
daughter who had the evolutionary genes. Instead of leaving her to die, he adopted her as his own, all while keeping the dark secret that he was responsible for her mother's death.
Whoever did that art is really good.
Well, don't worry,
Yeah,
there's still
it
time
is.
for this theory to get even worse. Now's your chance to remove yourself before things get really dark.
Oh, the cemetery.
Still here? Okay, so here's a fun question. What's the deal with all the pets in Bikini Bottom? How come most fish are basically humans, but a snail or a worm acts like a pet? Well, just like humans have domesticated wild animals, it should be no surprise that evolved fish have domesticated primitive fish as pets. Unlike the massive...
The way he says it sounds so bad.
There's also smaller primitive fish like jellyfish, snails, spirit worms, seahorses, and clams that the Bikini Bottom citizens were able to form a symbiotic relationship with. Aww, and I thought you said this was gonna be the dark
Pets
part,
are
Alex.
people
They're living
too.
together. That's
Just like
nice.
me.
Okay,
Just
okay,
like
you got
you.
me.
Don't.
Here's another fun
Please stop unfull screening it. It makes it so my screen can't see
There
it.
sure does seem to be an awful lot of meat-based food under the sea. I think you know where I'm going with this. The Bikini Bottom citizens eat primitive fish. Haha, it's not cannibalism if they're less evolved than you, right? There's no moral dilemma there. In Season 3, Episode 13, we see direct proof of this when the
Jaws
characters go
reference.
fishing for primitive clams. This is something completely normal in this world. And then there's the chum bucket, which
The
sells
cum
chum.
bucket?
Chum. Chum is literally
Don't.
fish. The show
Don't.
is hiding
Just
from
never
us.
again.
You don't really see too much of the meat harvesting side
Not
of
even
Bikini
off.
Bottom, and I'm not surprised
Just never say that
you know,
again.
You know, with the whole cannibalism thing. But there is one
Especially when I'm recording.
More secret than anything in Bikini Bottom. The best kept secret in
they're
the
out there.
entire show. You already know what I'm gonna say.
I'm keeping it in.
Krabby Patty secret formula.
Oh.
Throughout the show, there's been lots of contradictory evidence about the Krabby
No
Patty
one
secret
cares,
formula. In Season 4,
Reed.
Episode 7, Mr. Krabs says it's an old family recipe.
Raid Shadow Legends is only about snakes.
It's an old Krabs family recipe.
But in Season 5, Episode 1,
So
Krabs discovered it on his own by accidentally mixing random ingredients together.
yeah, this continuity does not make sense.
Sometimes it's a secret formula, sometimes it's a book, sometimes it's a secret sauce, and any glimpse we get of the formula is just random nonsense. There is a ton of contradictory evidence out there, but I think this might...
That's a big tomato.
In order to throw people off, Mr. Krabs has spread misinformation about the Krabby Patty formula. In fact, he's already done this in Season 3, Episode 18
I used to
by
call
hiding a fake
hamburgers
formula
Krabby
for Plankton to
Patties.
find this...
Actually, I don't blame you for that, but I never did that.
When I was really young.
Pounds of freshly ground plankton.
And the contradictions aren't just inside the show. Even one of the SpongeBob crew members once said that Krabby Patties are vegetarian and contain no meat.
Yeah, that's a lie.
I've been a little suspicious about what the creators say. They've also said that they're not allowed to show fish as food, except they clearly do with chum, clam fishing, and all the many, many gags where fish turn into food. It's almost like they're not allowed by Nickelodeon to publicly acknowledge this because that could create a controversy, but they could still sneak this dark secret into the show. So, what is the true secret ingredient? Where does the meat really come from? It's strange, we never really see Mr. Krabs get the meat delivered, or at least go out himself to get it. It's almost like he has all the meat he needs stockpiled somewhere. What primitive meat could Mr. Krabs have access to? Maybe he's been holding on to something from the war. What could Mr. Krabs have killed during the war that he doesn't want anyone to find out about? Something big enough to supply him with meat for years without needing more. What could that be? You really gonna make me say it? Mr. Krabs is using Pearl's dead mother's carcass to make Krabby Patties.
Who didn't know it?
Yeah, we solved the mystery. We did it. I'm so glad. Season 1, Episode 15, Sleepy Time. Mr. Krabs has a dream that he's on a boat fishing for a massive dollar. This is his memory of killing Pearl's mother, except now all he sees her as is money. And take a guess what name he calls the dollar.
What you doing, Mr. Krabs?
Hey, picking Neptune's pocket.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about cold hard flipping cash. It's the mighty Moby Dollar.
Moby Dollar. A direct reference to Moby Dick, a story about hunting a whale.
Do you just
Are
laugh?
kidding me?
Bruh.
And that is the evolution theory. I warned you guys this would be a dark one. The Bikini Atoll theory, King Neptune, Pearl's mother, the Krabby Patty formula, we hit everything in this theory. Even if you don't agree with all of it, you gotta admit a lot of this makes sense. Eugene Krabs' aspirations for money and greed have caused him to do terrible, terrible things. At least his love for Pearl seems to be real, so maybe there's some small amount of good in him. And even though Pearl's mother probably provides tons of meat, eventually he's gonna run out and he'll have to face what he's done. Well, unless of course there's another whale he has access to. Nope. No.
Imagine that actually happened in the show. Like Pearl goes missing. How's that bird alive? Oh, but how is that bird alive?
Well, alrighty then. That's the end of that theory. Just gonna end it here before there's any more dark plot twists. You guys have been insanely supportive with these SpongeBob theories, so I guess I have to make more. I've been your host, Alex Bale. Thanks for watching.
Is he gonna allow meat?
You'll see.
Yep. I think he needs to go to the store and get some.
You literally said don't.
Hey, just want to let you know that I think I'm gonna take a break from the SpongeBob videos for a little bit. It's not you. I mean, the videos are great. People love them. It's just, I think I want to go back to making actual films for a bit. Okay then.
No, you just ran out of meat.
For everything, I guess I'll just see
Never
you
mind.
around.
This has turned into a Halloween episode. I feel like this turned into a Halloween episode.
Not really, it's a reaction.
Well, yeah, but...
I just, I don't want to really make these videos forever. I don't want to be known as the SpongeBob guy.
You blame that. You should blame that one on yourself, buddy. I'm getting more DMs. 5.
Got you. You weren't expecting a jump scare, would you?
So scary.
So scary.
You know, the viewers probably just died from that, because that was so scary. I thought that was the video for a second. I was like, seriously?
But yeah, it was just a ad for horror movies on Peacock.
No, I was talking about when you said boo.
Together these rings tell the story of what we all dream of. One brilliant love. Jared, love brilliant.
You should be able to skip all ads.
The continuity with King Neptune is a bit of a mess. There are 2 different King Neptunes. There's a King Poseidon. There's 3 different royal palaces. 2 of them are called the City of Atlantis, but there's also a 3rd unrelated City of Atlantis. It's confusing to say the least. But there is actually a way to explain how all of this is intentional and connects together. This is a story of power, deception, and betrayal. This is the Neptune theory.
There's one more theory after this one.
Oh no.
Are we watching it?
Probably nothing.
There's no tension, the pacing is slow, it fundamentally fails as a film. Alex, go back to making SpongeBob theory videos. No one wants to see your awful horror films. Cynical critic, and remember to stay cynical. See you later.
Just imagine you working hard on horror films and then someone just does that.
SpongeBob guy back with another SpongeBob conspiracy. I've said it before, but the overwhelming support for these videos is insane. So I'd be stupid not to make more. I mean, everyone loves them, right?
Hello, fellow truth seekers. It's Conspiracy Carl here. Welcome back to The Awakening. I have been awakened myself to the immense lies of this person right here. This liar, Alex Bale.
Well, almost everyone. So I showed a bit of this conspiracy guy's reaction in my last video, and apparently he didn't like that, so now he's claiming that I'm part of some giant Illuminati conspiracy.
Somebody looks like they're a puppet for the Illuminati. Yes, you sir, have been inserting secret messages into your videos. Evil lurks there, people.
It's honestly really funny. You should check them out. Anyways, let's get into the theory. Is what I would say if I wasn't sponsored.
No!
How do I make a cool theory? King Neptune is the ruler of the 7 seas and the Roman god of the ocean. If you watch my evolution,
Roman
there's also a
god.
good chance he's the reason why fish in Bikini Bottom are so evolved and able to talk. He lives in the city of Atlantis with his wife Queen Amphitrite and his son Triton. But in the first SpongeBob movie, he's replaced by a completely different King Neptune who has a completely different daughter named Mindy. These guys don't look or sound at all the same, so how can they both exist in this universe? Well, there's already an interesting theory out there.
I really love these videos.
Takes place in the future after the events of the show. So widely believed that I got hundreds of comments about it in my Mrs. Puff theory. Yep, I know guys, I heard what you said. The creator of SpongeBob, Steven Hillenburg, said he wanted to end the series with the movie. And it being canonically at the end of the SpongeBob timeline would explain why we never see the Krusty Krab 2, or any of the other characters from the movie in the later SpongeBob episodes. And some people believe that the reason why movie Neptune is so different is because he's actually Neptune's son, Triton, all grown up. And that's a pretty cool theory, but I don't buy it. Other than Triton looking nothing like movie Neptune, I've never actually believed that the SpongeBob movie takes place in the future. Despite there being many people who commented about it on my Mrs. Puff theory as if it was a proven fact, there's never actually been any official confirmation of it. Steven Hillenburg only said that he wanted to stop making SpongeBob after the movie. He never said anything about where the movie actually takes place in the timeline of the show. And we do actually briefly see Neptune's daughter Mindy show up later in the show in SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout. There's no way she'd be there unless
Can you shut up?
after the events of the movie. I think what's actually going on here with Neptune is something much more.
Yes, but that's for work.
With the television theory.
I've been being loud all day because that's my job. This is my job. Yes, I am. I'm getting paid 5 cents.
Secretly set up by the showrunners to make sure that the show is more entertaining and profitable. And this applies to the SpongeBob movie as well. There's promotional art and even a commercial that acknowledges the fact that it's just a movie being filmed.
SpongeBob, what kind of jellyfish is that?
Hey guys, this is Carlos from the Zone. Tell us about your latest adventure.
Well, this one adventure we had was a real Lulu.
You mean when we went after Neptune's crown? It seemed bigger than our usual adventures.
Yes, and with fewer interruptions.
Well, thanks guys. We'll see you in the movie.
Movie? What's that?
I don't know.
I think the real reason why Neptune looks so different in the movie is because the filmmakers couldn't get the real King Neptune, the literal god of the sea, to show up for a movie. So they hired an actor to pretend to be the king. And there is actually a ton of evidence in the show to support this. King Neptune is supposed to live in the great city of Atlantis, but in the movie he just lives in some random sandcastle, almost like they just built a discount version for the movie. But the real evidence comes from season 10, episode 18.
Wait, does that mean Plankton was playing along with them?
Something in the Lost and Found. As he searches through this surprisingly massive
Because how would Plankton know where his home is?
The crown worn by King Neptune in the SpongeBob movie. The entire plot of the movie hinges on the fact that Neptune thinks Mr. Krabs stole his crown. Why would Mr. Krabs have this now? Because this isn't just the Krusty Krabs Lost and Found. It's also where they...
I literally just added on to his own theory about the television one.
If you remember from my television theory, Mr. Krabs is secretly working for the showrunners to...
And so is Plankton.
And his secret...
You can't prove me wrong.
...beneath the Krusty Krab, just like this Lost and Found. So it makes perfect sense for the showrunners to hide their props down here. And if you still don't believe
maybe Plankton and Krabs don't like working with each other, and they're also enemies for that reason, you know.
Being down here, unless this was the showrunners' prop storage, and the movie King Neptune was just an actor. Well, that's one Neptune down. Now for the real mystery, King Poseidon.
I have no idea about this,
movie, Sponge on the Run, the King of the Sea is yet again replaced by a new character.
I actually have an idea.
He actually does live in the city of Atlantis, except that the
this movie
royal
ever came out in
architecture is a
theaters or
giant
not?
casino designed.
I'm not sure. I watched it on a website.
Separate kings that rule different areas of the sea, but they both claim to be the ruler of the 7 seas. So how can two different characters both be the king of the same 7 seas? The answer to that question actually has to do with a place called Camp Coral. Throughout the third SpongeBob movie,
I've never watched this.
flashbacks of
That's also another series, so.
when they all went to summer camp together. This was was all to set up a spin-off show called Camp Coral that followed these younger characters. Now at first, I just wrote the show off as SpongeBob following the trend of making older characters younger to appeal to a younger demographic. It's been done before, and it's never very good. They also completely contradict the continuity of the main show.
Why is she wearing the skirt on the outside
SpongeBob meet as kids when we know they actually met as adults
of her space-type suit?
Hard enough time figuring out this show's continuity on its own. I do not need another show full of contradictions to make it even harder. But the creators actually did something very clever to make the continuity work. The 7th episode of Camp Coral ends with one of the biggest plot twists I've ever seen from the show. So in this episode, SpongeBob actually discovers the Krabby Patty secret formula way before it was supposed to be created by Mr. Krabs. But at the end of the episode, it gets accidentally destroyed by Sandy, and then we get this mind-blowing scene.
You can't say Plankton didn't do that on purpose. He's not that dumb. Oh.
What?
Wait, hold on. Hey, can you rewind it? I accidentally gone to a DM, that's why.
Rewind it a little bit.
Huh? Yeah, that much. Yeah. Sorry guys about that.
Way before it was supposed to be created by Mr. Krabs. But at the end of the episode, it gets accidentally destroyed by Sandy, and then we get this mind-blowing scene.
This is Little Cheeks calling Big Cheeks. Come in, Big Cheeks. Over. Affirmative, Little Cheeks. This is Big Cheeks.
Oh my, I can't believe it.
How are things going in the past? Your plan worked
It's so weird.
The formula burned out before Mr. Plankton could nab it. Now it can be safely rediscovered in the future. I knew sending you to Camp Coral was the right thing to do. Over and out. Bye, feature me. Hi. Mission accomplished, timeline preserved. Now everything can continue just the way it's always been.
So Sandy used time travel to send her past self to Camp Coral so that she could make sure the Krabby Patty formula didn't get discovered before it was supposed to. They actually figured out a way to make this messed up continuity make sense.
I didn't watch Camp Coral actually. I watched the movie, so.
Perfectly with my television theory. A major part of that theory is that Sandy is actually a spy working for the showrunners and is secretly making sure everything stays on track. And then what do we see a month after I post my theory? Sandy manipulating everyone.
True that.
Just gonna give myself a little pat on the back there, but enough gloating. What does any of this have to do with King Poseidon? Well, this proves that Camp Coral and the movie that sets it up are in an alternate timeline. The events that have taken place in the show are not the same events in this movie. The continuity errors like Sandy and SpongeBob meeting, or Poseidon being the king of the sea instead of Neptune, can be explained by this shift in the timeline. So there you go. King Poseidon and King Neptune are from completely separate timelines. That's why we never see any reference to King Poseidon in the show. And that is the Neptune theory. Huh. I mean, that wasn't so hard. I guess I'm done here.
Neptune stirred up quite a gale tonight. He must be mad about something.
That's silly. Everyone knows Poseidon is ruler of the undersea. Everyone knows Poseidon is...
Are you sure it's not the underground?
Why can't anything ever be easy?
Like Undertale?
This is the clip that really made me decide to make this theory. The beginning of Season 5, Episode 19, Spongehenge, shows two fish arguing over whether Neptune or Poseidon is the real ruler of the sea. It's like the creators are directly telling us that both of these characters somehow exist in the same timeline, and it's our job to figure out how the puzzle pieces fit together. So, let's take a look. Despite both of these characters having similar appearances and personalities, there is one very important difference between them. Poseidon doesn't have powers. We've seen many times that King Neptune has magical abilities that he can use at any time, even without his trident. But in the entire third SpongeBob movie, we never see Poseidon use any powers or magical abilities. Except for lighting up his trident, but all he has to do for that is just flip a switch. And we know from the episode Trident Trouble that you don't even need to be a god to use the trident. And at the end of the third movie, we find out Poseidon is actually in terrible shape. If you remember at the end of the episode Neptune's spatula, Neptune turned SpongeBob into a god. And we can see that having god powers give you a perfect body. So why is Poseidon in such terrible shape? Because he doesn't actually have powers. Only Neptune does. Even Neptune's wife, Queen Amphitrite, has to use technology to zap someone, unlike Neptune, who only has to use his finger in the exact same episode. He is clearly the only one with powers, but why? To answer this question, we first have to understand
I love this theory.
Now, in the show, there is very little information on Neptune's past. I read the Wikipedia, I looked through the comic books, the video games, but I just couldn't find anything that would help me. But then I remembered there are Spongebob shorts, which are like mini episodes that only air once, usually to promote something. So I started looking to see if there were any that could help us, and lo and behold, there is a Spongebob short called The Story of King Neptune. Huh, yeah, I guess that could be helpful. This short is about SpongeBob telling Patrick the origins of...
You did know she was reading an upside-down comic, right?
The story of King Neptune. When King Neptune was a little Neptune, his mother set him adrift in a river. As he floated along, a radioactive meteor fell to Earth. An alien appeared and anointed the infant with super Neptune fluid.
Is that really the origin of King Neptune?
Sure.
So King Neptune was abandoned as a baby and then given his powers by aliens. But SpongeBob is holding an upside-down comic book, so it feels a lot like something he just made up. And SpongeBob is not the most reliable narrator. Unless there's something in the story that we can definitively prove, I don't think we can use it for a theory. Like, do you really expect me to believe that Neptune got his powers from...
This will probably be my longest video if we watch the 6th theory as well.
They just so happen to also live...
And here comes an ad in 2 seconds.
Atlantis.
Oh, that was... Oh my god.
Got a brand new thing.
Oh, man. Stupid ads.
True.
Season 5, episode 12, Atlantis.
I wish I had the
we see
YouTube
another
Premium thing.
different Atlantis,
Yeah.
the lost city of Atlantis. A city that's home to a race of aliens. The Atlantean aliens traveled billions of light
I wish I had Discord Premium.
This great city disappeared one day, but no ruins were ever found. All the inventions you take for granted were given to us by the Atlanteans.
They were a peaceful race of aliens who shared their technology, but then mysteriously disappeared for some reason. And take a guess what we find when we look inside of that city. A massive sculpture of King Neptune. That story about aliens giving Neptune his powers doesn't sound so far-fetched now, does it? And that's not all we find.
Neptune's Ascension. The only surviving painting from the great lost city of Atlantis.
A painting created by the Atlanteans called Neptune's Ascension.
Wait, an alien's cult?
To his god status by being given powers by the Atlantean aliens. The story is definitely referencing this. There are too many connections for this to be a coincidence. So even though it's being told by SpongeBob and details like the aliens and gods are wrong, the story itself is probably based on truth. And there's also a lot of evidence to support the idea that Neptune was abandoned as a baby. In Costume Triton, Neptune is watching a soap opera in his bedroom and gets upset when his wife turns it off.
Oh, Neptune. Doing nothing but watching daytime television.
Wait! Rochelle was just about to meet her biological parents.
In the soap opera, Rochelle was just about to meet her biological parents. Maybe the real reason why Neptune's so invested in the soap opera is because he's never met his biological parents either. There's even tissues on the table next to him as if he's been crying. And the idea that Neptune was abandoned as a baby works perfectly with the mythology in the show. Neptune is the Roman god of the sea, but he is the only reference to Roman mythology in the show. Everything else we see is from Greek mythology. In the episode Trident Trouble, we see a Greek chorus.
Behold, we are the Greek chorus. We narrate this happy tale.
Neptune once mentioned Zeus, the Greek god of thunder.
So I say, look, Zeus, either you come up with more money, or Neptune walks.
He also mentions Apollo, the Greek god of the sun.
Now behold, my beloved home of Atlantis, a prize worthy of Apollo.
Even in the city of Atlantis where Neptune lives, there's a building named the Poseidon, clearly named after Poseidon. So Neptune is clearly the outsider here, which is why he was abandoned as a baby.
This is
but
too
if the sea is actually
confusing.
ruled by Greek mythology,
Your brain's just too small.
True heir to the throne. Why is Neptune the king of the show? Because after Neptune was given his god powers by aliens, he returned to Atlantis and stole the throne from Poseidon. This would explain why there's so much confusion over who the real king is.
Neptune stirred up quite a gale tonight.
Everyone knows Poseidon is ruler of the undersea.
legally, Poseidon should be the king, but Neptune took it by force. And that's not all he took from Poseidon. Neptune's wife, Queen Amphitrite, is the goddess of the sea. The Greek goddess of the sea, aka the wife of Poseidon. God damn, Neptune stole his wife and his throne.
Savage.
And eventually, everyone did recognize Neptune as the rightful king. The pink fish, who seemed adamant about Poseidon being the king, completely changes her mind one season later in Clash of Triton.
Or she's just scared.
Coming here? Oh, I'm a huge fan of the royal family.
She be sweating like she play Fortnite.
And that is the real story of King Neptune.
Fine, she be sweating like she play Call of Duty.
It's probably because in that timeline, Neptune was never given his god powers, so he never stole the throne from Poseidon. Although, seeing as how Poseidon turned Atlantis into a big casino cash grab city, maybe it's a good thing Neptune took over.
The lost city of Atlantic City.
And that is the Neptune theory. That was a tough
Yay!
one. Finally done. See you next time, guys. Wait, why is Poseidon City called the Lost City of Atlantic City?
The lost city of Atlantic City.
I mean, the Atlantic City Park makes sense. That's a reference to the real-life Atlantic City. But why is it called the Lost City? There is nothing lost about this city. It seems like everyone's easily able to find it. The only other reference to a lost city of Atlantis is the one with the aliens that gave Neptune his powers. Nope, I don't care. I'm done with this theory. I don't need to answer every single little question. I am 100% done.
I mean, you're the one telling us the question, so you have to now.
Fine, okay. One more quick part just to tie up all the loose ends, and then I am... Alright, here we go. So we know before the Atlantean aliens mysteriously disappeared, they shared their technology with the creatures of the sea. I think the self-proclaimed gods of the sea got their technology, like tridents and their other weapons, from the Atlantean aliens. In fact, the Atlantean guards even use golden tridents as their weapons. That's why the gods named their city Atlantis, to pay tribute to the Atlanteans that gave them their technology. But all of that changed when Poseidon became king of the sea. He betrayed the Atlanteans and used their own weapons against them to conquer their home and turn it into a casino city. That's why Poseidon City is called the Lost City, even though it's not lost. It's referencing the Atlantean city that was conquered by Poseidon. And the reason why the Atlanteans gave god powers to some random abandoned baby in the main timeline was so that Neptune could take the throne from Poseidon and prevent him from conquering the alien city. And the reason
Nice how we
they
end.
mysteriously disappeared was because they hid it so no one could ever try and conquer them again. And that is the Neptune theory. I am done. Okay, that's another one done. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Alex. We've got more on the way. I'll see you next time. Hey, listen, that theory was awesome. You know, I don't know how you keep coming up with these, but, I mean, they're great. And listen, you were totally right, you know? The people want SpongeBob theory, so who might have known that? So, thank you.
Aren't you gonna take damn meat?
Hello?
Huh?
Got the for you.
Ah!
Alright, listen. If we're gonna work on this, then we need to work on our communication skills, because this creepy fine act is getting old.
Don't.
Oh no.
I know what happens, but still.
What's it gonna look like? What? There's nothing.
That face though. Oh no. You'll see why I said oh no if we move on to the 6th one. We could have just
watched the last one.
Yes! I would full screen it. Thank Gamer DM'd me twice.
I have a challenge for all of you.
I don't care, Mr. Beast. You Jimmy. Okay, Aaron, go do that.
You read the title correctly.
Oh.
This is the Goofy Goober Alien Death Cult Theory. And no, I am not joking. This seemingly Steam parlor is a front or something.
I drew him earlier in
The beloved SpongeBob movie.
Yeah, I know, I told you to.
Much darker and tragic meaning to it. I am being 100%
This is why.
serious when I tell you that I think this is my best, most convincing theory yet. And if you thought my
Is this his
evolution
last
theory
theory
was
that
dark,
he'll ever
well,
do?
No, for sure not.
the Goofy Goober Alien Death
I promise you it won't be.
Oh.
But this is his latest.
When did this came out?
Like a few days ago.
Aw. Aw, what a cute snake. What a cute turtle.
Oh, you're gonna hate the ending to this.
Why did they all die?
You'll see. I'm not spoiling it. Well, spoil it to the viewers, but not you.
Oh boy.
Cause I'm a jerk like.
Feed a animal theory, dude?
What did he make that in a random word generator?
Goofy. Oh, okay. Let's see what the whole thing said. Wait, rewind a bit so I can read the whole
I
thing.
made a whole web series about a restaurant being a front for a cult.
You can use the arrow keys.
Hey, what's the biggest animal that you have?
No, more.
Tell me about it now.
No, fast forward.
Oh boy.
I want to read what the random. Alright, pause.
Generator. Trust me. Alien death cult theory. What did he make that in a?
Pause. Goofy Goober Death Cult Theory Robot.
What?
What?
Word generator. Trust me, there's actually a lot to this theory, and if anyone's
But no, I can't tell you. Sorry.
considering I made a whole web series about
No one told me, so I don't want you to know either.
They don't use any preservatives or bacon.
Now it's an ad.
No, it's not an ad.
But those are the old days. I'm the SpongeBob guy now, and there is an insane demand for more of these people.
No, you're the SpongeBob guy, not a SpongeBob guy.
Crazy. Thank you guys so much. Now, this is the part of the video where I try to make you think I'm about to start the theory, but then, oh boy, a sponsor. Knows. But today, I'm actually sponsored.
Okay, let's watch it.
That I'm really excited to talk
It's Happy
about.
Meat Farms. It's Happy Meat
It
Farms.
offers a variety of different delicious.
I don't give a shit. Farms.
Oh, you hurt my feelings. Stop.
It's the very definition
Please, no!
of innocent place for children. So, however, did I come to the conclusion that it's actually an alien death cult? In fact, what even is an alien death cult? Usually, it's a religious group that wants you to believe that one day aliens will come to Earth and take the members of the cult to a better place. And in order to get there, they have to commit mass suicide. The most infamous example of this being Heaven's Gate. Like I said, this is going to be a very dark video with some serious subject matter.
I have never heard of this.
How does this have anything to do with...
Yeah, this is gonna be
the more recent seasons of
I'm probably gonna put,
In fact, there's even an episode...
I don't know if this is gonna be 13 plus or 18 plus.
It's in this episode when Patrick is watching an employee training video that I first realized there was something more going on here.
The story of our ice cream begins with our founder, Reginald Goober, who for some unexplained reason was nicknamed Goofy. In 1842, he headed west in a covered ice cream wagon. He served his warm ice cream on rocks and sticks. From those humble beginnings, Goofy Goober has grown into a multi-billion...
Like McDonald's?
You know, it's a pretty standard company video. They just want their employees to wash their hands and keep their work area clean.
We only have one, practice good hygiene. 2, habits.
Nothing out of the ordinary, except there's one more thing that they want you to do.
And 3, believe in extraterrestrials.
What?
Hugs and ice cream.
Huh. An organization that wants you to believe in aliens. That couldn't be a Heaven's Gate reference in SpongeBob, could it? No, that's crazy. And even if it was, it could just be a random throwaway gag. There's no way Goofy Goobers is actually a cult, right?
Oh, shut up, Alex. We all know it is.
And things took on a whole new meaning. One of the most basic ideas of a cult is that they strip you of your individuality and make you change your entire identity.
So are religions cults?
That's exactly what Goofy Goobers does. Everyone there wears Goofy Goober uniforms just like a cult. I mean, what other restaurant has not just employees, but customers that always dress up in a specific way? And their theme song that is constantly repeated and reinforced is just a simple line,
I'm a Goofy Goober, yeah.
Okay, now's your chance to sing along.
I'm a Goofy Goober, you're a Goofy Goober, we're all Goofy Goobers. It is literally just a song saying that your whole identity is based around Goofy Goobers, and that's it. And in the SpongeBob movie, there's a scene where SpongeBob and Patrick have to try their best to not sing along to the theme song, and it literally causes them intense pain to not sing along.
Sing along, Patrick.
Trying so hard.
It's as if they've been brainwashed and physically can't stop themselves from singing it. And you can't even just chalk this up to SpongeBob and Patrick being weirdos. 2 other fish can't stop themselves from singing along, even though it means they'll get beat up for it.
Goofy, Goofy, Goober, Goobers, yeah!
Technically one other fish.
And just like how many cults have an icon or god that they worship, Goofy Goobers has the dancing peanut mascot that's all over the restaurant's branding. I mean, just look at how excited all the kids are when he comes out.
Goofy Goober!
That clock is so creepy.
It's something I would
But
draw.
just because kids like a mascot doesn't mean...
No, wouldn't. You draw better than that clock.
If you don't believe me, take it from
Oh
SpongeBob
yeah,
himself.
but I was talking about the peanut.
Well, you did draw it.
Ice cream. We worship a
Oh
dancing
yeah.
peanut for corn's sake.
We do not worship him.
Patrick, Goofy Goober peanut party underpants.
Just imagine your friend doing that to you just to reveal you.
In the SpongeBob movie video game, there's even a Goofy Goober token that reads, "In Goofy we trust," replacing the word God with Goofy. Things are looking awfully culty, aren't they?
No.
People also often create reading material about their beliefs.
I know what a cult is. Not from experience.
Is no exception to this. In the new SpongeBob spin-off, the
Shut up! It's meant to be a secret!
reading some kind of book about ice cream. And look at him, he's not busy working, he's choosing to read this in his downtime. I mean, compare him to Squidward, who sometimes reads in his downtime at work. It's not like he's reading about the Krusty Krab. This book looks a lot like his doctrine for a cult's beliefs. A major part of how cults get so successful is by getting their followers to give them money. Now, obviously, Goofy Goobers charges people for ice cream, but they actually convince their followers to trade their money for a made-up Goofy Goober currency.
I don't know what pint it's paying you, but if you let us go, I can make it worth your while. Oh.
What is this?
That, sir, is $5 goober dollars. Legal tender at any participating Goofy Goobers.
This would explain how the Goofy Goober founder, an idiot who sold ice cream with rocks and sticks, turned the company into
And Aaron who sold ice cream, okay.
He convinced people to believe that aliens would one day take them to a better place.
You did not catch on to what I just
The
said.
tactic that cults use to indoctrinate people is overloading them with compliments
Aaron.
to make them feel special. And that's exactly
That's a
what Goofy
creepy
Goobers
look
does
face.
to Patrick
What?
when he
I said, so an Aaron that sold ice cream, okay.
Huh?
Because he said an idiot who sells ice cream?
Yeah, he is an idiot, just like us.
I did not expect that to happen! I was expecting you to respond to what I said when I called you an idiot.
As a new Goofy Goober employee, we'd like you to know that we appreciate you.
And then
I don't appreciate you, so...
And I want you to know that I appreciate you.
And then despite Patrick messing up and causing chaos, the manager says it once again.
I'll give you another chance tomorrow. If it doesn't work out, I'm afraid you're fired. in a most appreciative way.
There is no reason for the manager to be this appreciative of Patrick after all the
Yes, he is.
done. He's just trying to emotionally manipulate.
No. He's trying to be friends. Friends.
Patrick started eating Goofy Goober ice cream when he was young and eventually ended up working there and worshiping their god. But this green kid also grew up to become an employee at Goofy Goobers. There's a clear pattern here. Kids who eat the ice cream all eventually join the cult. They are specifically...
Did SpongeBob eat the ice cream as a kid?
Their manipulation goes far beyond just
But he never joined it.
Trust me,
That was the question.
the surface of how far Goofy Goobers will go to brainwash its members. Things are about to get darker.
Maybe to watch this guy's horror movies or something. Oh no!
Wait, he just bought a cat.
He's gonna feed the cats the fan ass. If he's even fat.
This would make a wonderful setting for a book.
We're supposed to be on vacation, Alice.
I wonder if this weird guy is in his horror movies.
There's a part in the SpongeBob movie where SpongeBob and Patrick go to Goofy
Cause I totally watched
Goobers
them.
of ice cream all night to the point where
Or not movies, just his films, I should say. But I guess those could be movies. I don't know.
It begs the question, why does the ice cream get them drunk?
Yeah.
Maybe that's just how ice cream works in the SpongeBob universe, and it's the show's way of making a family-friendly alcohol reference. But we've seen other instances where characters eat tons of ice cream and it
Patrick,
on them. Alright, well, maybe this was just a one-time gag for the movie, and it's not a consistent part of the continuity. But in the season 11 episode, Call the Cops, we get this scene.
Make sure to subscribe to Alex Bale.
Goobers again, eh, Patrick?
So, all the Goofy Goober ice cream having a weird alcoholic effect on people. Is it possible that they put something in the ice cream to make people more open to cult indoctrination? Cults have been known to use drugs to keep their followers obedient and suggestible. One of the most infamous examples of this being Charles Manson, who used LSD to convince his followers of his beliefs. If this is the case with Goofy Goobers, they probably want to make sure everyone there eats as much ice cream as possible, and the Goofy Goober building is actually cleverly designed in a way to ensure that this happens. There are no windows in the entire building, so you can't tell whether it's day or night. And the Goofy Goober clock just has random numbers on it, so it's impossible to keep track of time. Because of this, SpongeBob eats ice cream all night and is actually late for work for the very first time. Also, can I point out the fact that the eyes on the clock seem to follow Patrick around in the Goofy Newbie? It's a really creepy and specific detail to include. I mean, we know from the movie that the eyes are usually supposed to be looking straight ahead, but here they're always watching Patrick, their next target for indoctrination. Now, if the ice cream is what keeps them following...
Also, did they also remember the numbers they put on the clock just for other episodes they have Goofy Goober?
...policy about this.
Did they have to rewatch the movie just till that part so they could know the time?
I can't hear you, what?
I'm just asking, did the people who are making the SpongeBob episodes have to, like, rewatch the movie, or did they have to memorize what's on the clock just for that exact detail?
They probably wrote it down somewhere.
Okay.
The employees get to eat all the ice cream they want. Very interesting. And there's evidence to suggest
So, this is the Goofy Newbie I never watched, actually.
At the beginning of the Goofy Newbie, Patrick is holding up the line asking for samples of ice cream. The employee he's talking to gets frustrated and calls for security to kick him out.
You sampled every flavor we have. Will you please just pick one?
I would like you to
Security, we have a sample movie at the counter.
But there's something oddly familiar about this employee. Hang on a second.
Well, Aaron, you probably wouldn't get it.
The new spin-off, The Patrick Star Show, is a prequel to the main show that introduces introduces us to Patrick's little sister, Squidina. And here, we see her all grown up, working at Goofy Goobers. She's even credited as Squidina and has the same voice actor. In the Patrick Star Show, we actually do see her eating Goofy Goober ice cream as a kid, which fits with the pattern of kids who eat the ice cream eventually getting indoctrinated into the cult. Now, Squidina and Patrick have a very close, loving relationship in the Patrick Star Show, but here, they act like they're total strangers. It's not surprising that Patrick would forget his own sister, but Squidina is always portrayed as being smart. It's almost like she completely forgot about him. One of the biggest tactics that cults use to indoctrinate people is
But why does
isolating
she
them
have a
from their friends and
nose,
family
then?
to make them more vulnerable and dependent on the cult. And that's
Wait,
exactly
rewind?
what we're seeing here with Squidina.
Or-
She has
Look,
no
she
memory
doesn't have a
of her family.
nose.
Oh yeah.
It might just be affecting her memory as well. I mean, if she was
Look,
No, I saw. Animators be like that though. They just get rid of limbs when they become older because it looks ugly.
well,
I'm pretty sure Squidina is actually the
I
first squid in the show.
don't even know who that is.
to be some random reusable character here with no continuity, why would the creators go out of their way to specifically credit her as Squidina, unlike the other random employees who are just credited as employee? Feels like they're deliberately trying to draw attention to it. At the end of the Goofy Newbie, Patrick goes crazy and eats a ton of the ice cream, and then the episode ends in a very interesting way.
What?
Now, I don't think Patrick was actually abducted by aliens. I mean, we see him
I
on
see
Earth in
the
the very next
strings.
episode, and the UFO has the same
Yeah.
fake look as the one in the training video. I think
It's hard to see because of the blue, but yeah, I see
he
him.
now fully accepts the Goofy Goober's beliefs, and it's caused him to hallucinate the UFO. So, at this point, I'd say we can make a very strong case for Goofy Goobers being a cult, but with this realization comes a very dark and tragic new meaning for the SpongeBob movie. Believe me, you will never look at that movie the same way again.
Yep, he's about to ruin your childhood if he didn't already. Unless you didn't watch SpongeBob as a kid, then he won't ruin anything.
Oh, I watched it a lot when I was a kid.
Exactly.
The cat's about to die. Don't close your cat's eyes, okay?
My cat's not with me.
Oh.
But when my cat was with me, the cat just smiled when they were watching.
What? Really?
Oh, I'm sorry, anyways.
How long have we been recording?
But, this over an hour.
Wow, almost 2 hours.
Man, I mean, when this is finished, it's gonna be like 2 hours, 10 minutes, so... Now.
If your brother is, then he has a lot of editing to do.
The haunting returns.
Whoa!
The 2004
Call of Duty has a new Halloween update? Oh, I want to play that.
It's fun.
Stop sweating in Call of Duty.
Encapsulates everything
I
great
just played
about
the zombies
SpongeBob.
mode.
In this movie, SpongeBob goes on a journey of self-discovery and realizes that he doesn't need to change who he is and grow up to fit into society. He just has to embrace his inner kid and be himself. It's a great message that feels really fitting for the character. But if you replace the word kid with
Goofy Goober?
SpongeBob's arc takes on a whole new meaning. It's not about SpongeBob embracing being himself. It's about SpongeBob fully accepting the indoctrination and beliefs of the Goofy Goober cult. The movie starts with SpongeBob not getting promoted to manager of the new Krusty Krab, a job that he desperately wanted and believed that he would get. When he finds out that Squidward got chosen instead of him, it completely destroys him. Cults will target vulnerable people who are at extremely low points, and the first place that SpongeBob goes to after having his heart broken is Goofy Goobers. After a night of getting drunk off of ice cream, he becomes resentful of Mr. Krabs and decides to tell him off.
I deserve that.
That sounds so bad. And not in the right way.
I'm a kid. Well, I am
100% man. And this man has something to say to you.
In fact, if King Neptune didn't interrupt and try to
I did a good impression.
SpongeBob probably would have quit and been
I actually voiced this video.
Bob and Patrick go on a quest to retrieve Neptune's crown, and it's almost like every
It's
obstacle they
9/11
face along the
o'clock.
way is specifically
Shut up.
designed to make SpongeBob and Patrick realize
Okay,
the
I
dark
shouldn't
truth
joke
Goofy
about that,
Goobers,
but
they fail
That was
to
dark.
every
That was a dark
so
joke.
they first stop at this
Yeah, I
tough guy
should've said
bar
that.
that's full of men who beat up anyone that isn't manly enough. But I think there's actually a lot more going on here than it seems. This place actually has an insane amount of similarities to the Goofy Goober ice cream parlor. They're both shaped like boats, they both have bikes out front and a bar inside, and they both have two-word titles that start with the same letter, Goofy Goobers and Thug Tug. Is it possible that this place is actually a former Goofy Goobers establishment that was abandoned? I mean, they literally have the Goofy Goober theme song on hand.
SpongeBob, it's the Goofy Goober theme song.
And they claim that no kids are allowed here, yet we see some old kid-sized handprints in the bathroom. If this really is a former Goofy Goobers, then these guys would probably know the truth about the cult, which would explain why they're so against having anyone who's not manly in the bar. It's not because they hate kids, it's because they're trying to keep out a dangerous cult. If SpongeBob and Patrick just stuck around a little longer, maybe they would have learned this too, but they quickly sneak out and even make fun of the tough guys at the bar.
Come on, Pat, one more time.
Again, we're on a baby hunt. I don't think we don't know how to weed them out.
Clearly, they didn't get the lesson they were supposed to from this place. Then they go through a fish graveyard and stop at a random ice cream stand, but it turns out it was actually a trap for a monster to lure unsuspecting victims.
Okay, Patrick, you can let go now.
An ice cream store that's a facade for something darker that lures people in and keeps them trapped. It's like the ocean is literally screaming the truth to SpongeBob and Patrick, but they just aren't getting it. But then they reach an obstacle that's just too great for them to pass, and it makes them reevaluate some things about themselves.
We're not kids.
Open your eyes, Patrick! We worship a dancing peanut for corn's sake! You've been wearing the same Goofy Goober peanut party.
That's gross to be honest.
Oh, you're right, SpongeBob.
It isn't until Mindy helps them realize that they're more than just Goofy Goober kids that they can continue on their journey. They sing an entire song about how they believe in themselves now, and Patrick even says this.
Now that we're men.
I changed my underwear.
They have finally broken free from the cult's indoctrination, but unfortunately it doesn't last very long. They're stopped by a handyman Plankton hired to take them out, and he completely destroys all the progress they've made to grow as characters.
Step aside and you won't have to feel the awesome wrath of our mustaches.
These.
They were fake?
Of course they were fake.
They end up getting abducted by a scuba diver who, to them, is a terrifying alien from another world, which is an interesting parallel to Reginald Goober being taken by aliens. They're taken to Shell City in a room full of dead fish, a place
there's Mr. Puff.
after a mass suicide. While SpongeBob and Patrick are being dragged to death, they decide to fully embrace the Goofy Goobers' beliefs and spend their last moments alive singing the Goofy Goober theme song.
I'm a Goofy Goober, yeah. You're a Goofy Goober, yeah. Goofy, Goofy, Goober, Goober.
But then, just like death cults always promise, they and everyone in the room are reborn when the sprinkler system turns on. Whew, it's getting real dark. Then we get to the climactic finale of the movie. SpongeBob returns to the Krusty Krab, now a changed man. He has to battle Plankton and his army of mind-controlled slaves, and this is how the final confrontation plays out.
And if I've learned anything during that time, it's that you are who you are. So yeah, I'm a kid, and I'm also a goofball, and a wingnut, and a knucklehead McSpagatron!
What's going on here?
But most of all, I'm...
Hey, settle down. Take it easy.
I'm...
What the scallop?
I'm a Goofy Goober!
I'm a Goofy Goober. On first watch, this is such a satisfying and cathartic moment for SpongeBob. But in reality, this is the moment that he has gone past the point of no return and becomes a Goofy Goober. Now, this is normally when I pretend like the video was over and then surprise you with a last-minute twist, but I don't need to pretend this time. If you think this entire video
Why? I want you to pretend.
and none of this could possibly be intentional, well then just for you, I have saved my best piece of evidence for last. Are you ready?
This throws Aaron off every time.
Song. We cut to him standing on the world and
Throws
getting
me off every
abducted
time?
by a UFO.
When he pretends to end it.
The UFO's lights make a pattern of red, yellow, red, which is eerily similar to the Goofy Goober UFO that has 2 red cherries with a yellow banana in the middle. And that is the Goofy Goober alien death cult theory.
Why does that music sound familiar?
Probably because SpongeBob, or, not SpongeBob, I don't know.
It sounds like it's from a movie I watched.
SpongeBob is a show that uses really old music.
Yeah.
Wow. Didn't think I could,
It's old.
make these theories any darker, could ya? Gotta love that good old family-friendly, PG-rated SpongeBob. I am having so much fun making these videos. Don't worry, we've got plenty more on the way. I'm just making SpongeBob stuff from now on. I've been your host, Alex the SpongeBob Guy. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.
Now here comes the final part of the video.
Hey, I'm gonna assume you're still down here. Thought about what you asked, and sorry, I just can't. I mean, it's one thing to buy you meat, but a living animal, like a cat, that's not a line that I'm willing to cross. And if that means you're not gonna give me SpongeBob theories anymore, then so be it. But honestly, man, good luck finding someone else that's gonna be willing to be a part of whatever this weird relationship is between us. Come on, I know you can hear me.
Ooh.
Also, after this part, I'm gonna end the video, but make sure to look through the comments.
What did you do?
My boy, I took what you brought me.
No, but I changed my mind. I didn't give you the cat.
You purchased the cat. You brought it to this hole. I simply finished the job.
No, this is not what I wanted, okay? This isn't worth it. We are fucking done.
Seven?
My boy, we both
SpongeBob 7.
can't go back now.
Okay, this is the last time, and then I want you out of this house.
Oh my god.
He got scared.
That's why he's hentai man.
Do not say that.
Oh shit, not me to do that.
Well, you can stop sharing your screen.
Okay. So that was interesting.
With my name, they can only see the D part, and with your name, they can see the whole thing. So this is D and artistic artist out. Make sure to look in the description. Subscribe to Aaron. Subscribe to Alex Bale. Subscribe to me. Comment down below and do all the normal YouTube stuff. You know.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to say anything before I say bye, guys?
And oh, you want me to say anything before we end this?
Yeah.
Alright, and always remember, never feed cats to giant hentai monsters.
What did I just say?